Okay, so I'm going to give you a short history of our company, our history. My name is Jim Bradley, and this is Joe Hammer. I started out a few years back, it was about 2007, answered an ad and I started installing radiant barrier. It wasn't copper flex, but it was another product. Turned out Joe worked for that company as well in management. So I learned about radiant barrier, I installed, I learned about the technology that I'm going to talk to you today on the US Autobox, although it wasn't the US Autobox, it was the technology itself. I became a huge fan of energy savings. What better product can you sell a person to their home or their business that's going to pay for itself so quickly and last so long? I like that. You know, we can sell anything to anybody as people, but we don't always sell them a value that I think is important. You know, something that you're going to put in your parents' house. I always tell people I sell like I want my mom sold. I don't want my mom taking advantage. You know, she's a little old lady. So what happened was I learned about the radiant barrier, which Joe's going to talk about. I'll talk about a little bit later. And then we found out they introduced a new product. We called it the Power Miser. It was an in-home product that helped save energy, and that's all it did. That's all that we claimed it did, was it would save you energy. It was 2 capacitors in a box. We were new. We didn't know about it. We sold them. We sold them for a lot of money. As time went on, I went to work for a couple different companies. Joe left the company, went back and forth a little bit, stayed in the business of energy savings, and we're both big advocates of it. So some time went on. We unfortunately met some of the people that in every industry there is, you're going to find somebody that's not a very nice person. I think we've all experienced that at one time or another. And Joe, we managed to meet a few of them at different times, but the same people. So I ended up leaving a company that I was repping, and I had sold the product to where he buys some of his parts. And he called the manufacturer and said, talked to him a little bit, and I left, and a friend of mine says, hey, you need to call this Joe Kowalski out in Arizona. So Joe and I talked a little bit. As a matter of fact, way back then, years and years ago, the three of us had a three-way conversation. He had some really great patented products that were the best there are in the nation. Most of the product we're talking about that's on the market today is what we call static. It's a set of microfarads, and they think it's one shop fits all. As you're going to find out, we have an automated product that adjusts, which Joe's going to go into more depth. But what happened was, I told Joe, I said, Joe, I'm looking for a product that I can afford to buy as a wholesaler and that I can pass on to my customers, and then to the end to the retail purchaser at a reasonable price. Can you build me this? Can you kind of meet my specs? And he says, yeah, we talked about it, and he built the US Autobox. He built an Autobox. We called it the US Autobox. That's what you have in front of you. That's the product that we have now. So I had this product. I started selling. Joe became a dealer. He's one of my first dealers. We were doing a beta test. We wanted to see how these boxes, worked. What kind of problems might we have with them? How the customers with them. We did this for a couple of years. Joe, myself, and one other person who's a good friend of mine sold. We wanted to see what they're about. We had 2 returns. Both of them, the electricians didn't hook them up correctly. We've had no failures on my product. I'm not going to say it's never going to happen, but we have a really good quality control thing. Every box that we have is burned in before it leaves the factory. Every box is custom built. We order them, they get built. We're not an off-the-shelf company. We don't do it that way. We have integrity. We want our people happy. We don't want to have products coming back on us. So, Joe, the manufacturer, we all got the warm and fuzzies that we've got a good product. We don't have any callbacks. So Joe and I started a company, and we started selling distributorships. Actually market them. We have a certain amount of time to market them, and then we're going to stop. Dale basically bought Tennessee. He bought a good chunk of Tennessee. And I'm going to tell you something else about us. I'm going to talk here for a little bit. Joe's going to talk. He's going to kind of finish up. He's got to leave. He's got a family thing in South Carolina. I'm going to wrap it all up today. I can stick around. I can answer questions. We're picky. Just because you got money to write me a check, I don't sell you a dealership. We sold the dealership recently to a gentleman that doesn't have a lot of money. He had enough money to buy the dealership, but he's going to take a long time to really build up. That's not what we do. If I wanted to go out and make a pile of money, I could do it. I could get a really good marketer. We could go out there and blitz the country with this is the greatest product in the world. I'm going to charge you $50,000. And here's your product. Oh, you want product too? That's going to be a little extra. You know, that's different. And then I'm going to quit answering my phone. And you're stuck. And I worked for a company like that. It was $40,000 for the dealership plus inventory, no support. That's not how we do things. We come here, we teach everybody. That's what we're here doing today. So we have a great product that we're going to discuss. Joe's going to talk about it. He's going to teach you how to sell this product. What you need to know about our product is, you know, basically it's automated. It's self-adjust. It's patented. It's the best product and the best value out there. You can't touch our product. You can't find a similar product. You're just not going to find one.
And UL listed is important.
It's UL listed. It's listed in Canada. I've got 7 patents. I say I have. I consider the manufacturer, he's a friend. So I have a habit of saying we. You know, I have it on but we have international patents. And the other thing is too, just because you have the patents doesn't mean anything. We fight them patents. Somebody comes along with an automated box and puts it out there, we find it. And we're going to find it. And we buy one and we take it apart. And if they're infringing on the patent, you're in court. And I'm going to tell you a story about that. We had a lady, we sued a guy, Joe did. Sued, I know you're trying to film this, I'm trying not to walk around, it's a bad habit I have. Sued this company for a patent infringement. When it was all said and done, the lady came to him and says, I want to represent your patent. You have $1 billion patent. So that's telling you something. The lady that just defended them wanted to come and work for her. Says, you know, I want to represent your product. You got $1 billion patent. That's what's amazing about ours is because it's the automation. When Joe talks about the technology in a few minutes, you're going to understand why automation is so important as opposed to in a direct motor environment. So Joe and I got together. We started a company. We sell distributorships. We share the unit. Joe sells boxes. I sell boxes in the way that we've taught Dale. Joe, one of the reasons that I wanted to go into business with Joe is I've known Joe for some years. There's not a better salesman out there, by far. Joe's been doing energy saving sales for over 30 years. He knows it like the back of his hand. He's an extremely successful person at it. I'm a good salesman. I'm a great salesman. I'm not as good as Joe. I'm probably not as good of a trainer. So that's why Joe's here. I'm not a person to tell you that I'm perfect at everything. I'm darn good at what I do. But Joe's here, he's going to teach you. And I'm going to ask you to listen to what Joe has to say. And I want you to learn the fundamentals and the basics, and then I want you to make it your own. Joe's going to explain to you why he says what and when. Okay? To get the point across and to close your deal. Because that's what you're here to do, is to learn how to close your deal. I want you to make it your own. You know, I don't want you ever being out there reading from a script, and you never want them to think you're reading from a script, but it's important that you understand the fundamentals of this close process, of the sales process, the introduction, the sale, and the close. And Joe's going to make you very, very successful, and y'all are going to make some money. So with that, Joe, you come up and introduce yourself. I'll switch spots with you.
Hey guys, I'm Joe Hammaker. Introduction's over. All right, thank you for your kind words, my friend and partner. I do want to, as you can see, I wrote up on the board here, Sales 101. This is not going to take long. Step 1, Step 2, Step 3. Step 4 is getting the money. We're going to go through those steps, but I want to talk to you about why they're important before we do it. Let me ask everybody in the room, how many of you have ever done any type of sales? In-home sales. So everybody here. Okay, consider yourself really good at it, or okay. Everybody fits somewhere in that category, right? You know where you fit. I'm not asking you to say that outwardly. But what I want to do is show you why, for over 30 years, I don't care who I worked for, I was the #1 sales guy. And it would happen in weeks, not months, not years, always. I was blessed as a very young man to be the kid who cut Zig Ziglar's grass in Columbia, South Carolina. Because my dad at that time was a drill sergeant in Columbia, and Zig lived 3 blocks from us, and as a kid being entrepreneurial, I created my own little landscaping business, and him and Zeke, his brother, is somebody's door I knocked on. And they taught me a lot about how to sell. I don't even know if you knew that about me, but that's how I got so good so quick. because he might have been one of the most brilliant sales trainers of our day. Period. Zeke was actually better than Zig, but Zig wouldn't admit that. Okay? But the fact is, I learned a lot of little things about how to be a salesman without being a salesman. Does that make sense? Because I don't actually like salespeople in the way of salespeople tactics. I don't use tactics. I use 100% honesty to sell. Because if you're using sales tactics, you will come across as a salesman. It will be very apparent you're a salesman, and you will find it very difficult to get that business. Honesty sells. So never say anything that they can go on to Google and disprove. Because we're living in the world of the internet. And they will make notes when you're in their house. And if they're not, and that's usually the person not planning on buying anything from you if he's making notes, he or she. Because they're going to verify everything they know, and then they're going to call back who they felt the most comfortable with after they do their research. Well, I know that. You know that. How do you get over that? Well, just by being so honest that those notes become irrelevant. Giving them such comfort with what you say that those notes become irrelevant.
And the third-party material helps too.
Having all the demonstrations, but knowing how to develop the whole presentation. In other words, I'll give you the first mistake 99% of salespeople I've ever met in my life do. They have a product. They walk in, they do what is called a warm-up. They start talking about themselves, they talk about to the couple, oh, that's your kids live local, and they go into this whole big warm-up thing trying to create the warm and fuzzies. Yeah, I don't believe in warm-ups. People that get me out there to talk to them about their family, I can 100% guarantee you they have friends. They're not looking for a friend. They're trying to resolve a problem. That's why they booked the appointment. I'm not saying don't be nice, but don't spend 20 or 30 minutes trying to develop warm and fuzzies. I'll tell you a reason for that. This is going to sound crazy, but it's 100% true, guys. You become too friendly. You know who the easiest person to say no to is? A friend. And they fully expect you to accept that no because you're their friend. So selling friends something is the hardest thing on the planet to do. A stranger's easy. Selling a friend, very difficult. Because they really got to have the need to buy from you. I mean, they really need to have the need. But keep in mind, these people booked an appointment for however way we created the marketing. To get this product sold, the box, which is the main thing I'm going to talk about, this 90%, this 10%. Okay? But just understand up front, it's okay to spend 5 minutes introducing yourself, but get right to business. And you will find people love that. What they don't like is the salesman that spends 20 minutes and then they got to go, could you get to why I booked the appointment? Because the minute they ask you that, you have already spoke too long about irrelevant things. Because if you think, when you go, wow, that's a beautiful family you have, if you think they believe that you really meant that, you are living in a fantasy land. You immediately sounded like a salesman. The same 3 salesmen got there before you they didn't buy from. You just put yourself in his or her box. Bad idea. You don't ever want to appear to be a salesman. So do everything in the world every salesman's ever taught. When who's had a salesman come to them, try to sell them something. Everything that salesperson did, you never want to do. Think about that. You never want to do anything they ever did. So here's the first mistake all salespeople do. They walk in with their product in their hand. Okay? And then they bring it out and they start. Once they start into their presentation, what is their presentation? It's the product. They start demonstrating the product. Yeah, that's a huge mistake. You know what the first thing you have to do before you even talk about your product? Sales 101. Identify the problem. What's the problem? Okay, if they booked an appointment for me to come out and talk to them about my power demand controller, is what I like to term it as. Power demand controller, because when there's a demand, it controls that power. So that's my term for this box, is it's a power demand controller. It's a great term. Don't call it a power factor correction device. That term was used years ago by companies creating these little cheap Mexican capacitor boxes telling people correct power factor is going to save you money. Correcting power factor will not save you money. That's horse crap, and they didn't know what they were doing. They didn't know anything about the technology, so they created an it. So if you put yourself in their box, what did you just do? Well, you're already done. Okay, so it's not what it is. It does something very different than that. But you've got to identify the problem. How do you identify a problem? Well, ask them, what problem do they perceive? Why did you book this appointment? What I thought was interesting when I read there on your ad about this box, or this reflective copper. Whatever the product is, it doesn't matter. You know, I do blow-in insulation. I sell solar. I have my own energy company in Greenville, South Carolina. That's where I live, not far from you guys. My brother and I own it. We have an office in Asheville, North Carolina. We got one in Greenville, South Carolina. We got one in Atlanta. We work directly with the power companies. My son's an auditor for Georgia Power. My brother's an auditor for Duke Energy and Progress Energy, and I'm an auditor for Duke Energy. On top of the stuff we do as a company. So when it comes to energy, believe me, there's not much I don't know about it, but there's plenty that some of you guys in here know that I don't know. We met an engineer yesterday. I was scared to talk to him. Like, this guy knows more about energy than I don't know in my whole life. I wasn't scared to talk to him, but I'm like, I'm not going to get into a technical discussion with him because he's going to talk over my head, and I'm going to be lost. To that point, don't talk over your customer's head. Talk always in layman's terms. Because if you get technical, you think you're impressing them, what you just did is confuse them. They won't buy until they go to do the research to figure out what the heck were you talking about. So we're talking layman's terms always. So now that you've identified a problem, if they can't identify it, then you help them identify it. Okay? I'm there to talk to them about this box. Forget this product for a minute, we'll talk about the box. This box is a power demand controller. So what is the problem I'm trying to resolve? Somebody tell me. If you can figure out what the problem is I'm trying to resolve. I'm in the residential home, or I'm in there a small business or whatever. The problem is,
Paying too much.
that's one problem.
High utility bill.
Why do they have high utility bills?
Wasting the power.
They have raw power. They don't know that. Power companies sell to them raw power. It's very dirty power. They don't clean it up for you. It's sent to you straight from their, whatever they're using to produce it, whether that's a nuclear power plant or whatever it is. That power is coming straight to their transformer that's going to serve the needs of X amount of homes. It's going to come into that meter base. From that meter base, it's going to go to where? To the breaker. And as soon as that power passes that breaker panel, that meter starts to spin or click, depending on whether you got an old meter or a smart meter, which is LED lighting, right? That's what's going to happen. So where is the problem? The problem is dirty power is high heat resistance power. Every power company in the country sells you power that has a high heat resistance in it. Anybody familiar with what heat resistance is? Heat resistance is exactly what it says. It's the amount of heat in the current itself as it flows through the wire. That heat creates vibration in the wire itself. Have you ever stood under high voltage power lines before, where you could literally hear the electricity as it passed through the wire? That is heat resistance. It is so loud as it passes through, it vibrates the line so loud, so hard, you can hear it. And in a home, we don't have high voltage. We're running 220, right? 2 110 legs running through the wire. But if you're in an older home and you literally can grab a wire, you can actually feel the vibration. Because the coating has gotten so thin, you can actually feel it. That's heat resistance moving through the wire. Because here's how it works in a house. Electricity runs in 2 phases. Okay, if you can see it on a monitor, a screen like a heartbeat, you'd see 2 lines running, and then they'll go like this. Boom, 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 boom. Every foot, those 2 phases of power hit. Every time they hit, what happens? The heat intensifies. So that's why, everybody knows this, the further out the user of that power is from the source of the power, the wire must get larger, right? or by the time it gets to the motor trying to ask for power, or even a light bulb, it's got so much heat resistance, the motor won't even come on because you didn't use the right size wire. That's how engineers calculate what size wire do I need to go 120 feet versus 20 feet, or 300 feet versus 100 feet. Because the more feet, the wire must increase in size. So in your house, you've got bulbs that are 20 feet from the breaker panel, which is your actual source. In a house, it's from the breaker panel, because that's where they feed it to. But then you've got a home that's 60 foot long, you've got other bulbs and motors that might be at the other end of the house. They're running on higher heat resistance power. Why? Because it's further from the source of the power. So this is the problem. So some things are more efficient just because they're closer to the source. Did you know that? It's all true. But you know how many homeowners know that? Yeah, like none. I've talked to engineers and they'll go, man, you know what, I'm an engineer and I never thought about that. I know all about heat resistance, but I never realized that that would be running more efficient because it's closer. Well, it's true. It does. So you're talking about now to them, this is identifying the problem. Why do you think it's important that I've identified that problem? Because otherwise I'm just demonstrating a product. And if you go in demonstrating products, you'll sell 3 out of 10. If you identify the problem first, well, you'll sell 7 out of 10. Who wants to sell 3 out of 10? I hope none of you. But if you identify the problem and get them to agree to the problem, the key is, can I go to this product now if I'm talking to you, sir, in your house, and I go, well, do you understand what I'm talking about? And he goes, well, none of everything you just said is not true. Oh, well, why? No need to open up my box, right? Because he didn't believe anything I have to say. I might as well open up the box, no, close it, and go get in my car and drive off. Wasting my time, wasting your time, right? Now, I will tell you that what I've said to you about how power works in a house or commercial business is 100% accurate, and I've never had an engineer or anybody deny that fact. They always go, well, that's correct. They all know what heat resistance is. They know that it vibrates a line. But go to the point that I did for you guys. Paint the mental picture. Put them in a place of standing under those high voltage wires and hearing that electricity go through. Because if you don't, you can't identify the problem correctly. Because most of them, 90%, don't know anything about heat resistance and electricity. They don't know where EMFs come from, all things that you're going to discuss. They have no idea. So identify the problem so that they can feel the problem emotionally. Right? That makes sense? It didn't take long for me to do that for you, did it? It won't take any longer for you to do it for somebody that has no knowledge. You just do what I just did right there when you're doing that box. I do it a little differently when I demonstrate this because this is a different problem. And I'll show you how to identify that problem. But that's how you identify that problem. You tell them, here's the problem. Then you look right at them once they agree that that is a problem and say, now, if I had a solution to get rid of heat resistance running through your wires and make a 15-foot wire or a 100-foot length to the end user power be equal in heat resistance, would that benefit you?
Sure.
Right, what did I just do?
Demonstration.
Yeah, I just got him to agree this is a need and that there is a benefit to fixing that problem. Because if he doesn't agree there's a benefit, or she doesn't agree that there's a benefit to fixing the problem, can I sell them? Yeah, highly unlikely. I need a yes right now. You got to have it. It's your first pre-close. If they go, well, sure, yeah, that would benefit me. Okay, well, that's almost like writing you a check. Because I'm pretty sure I've got a way of fixing the problem. But I'm going to make sure they understand the problem and that there is a benefit to fixing the problem. Now, I didn't say it'll save you money. I didn't say that, did I? I said, if I can make a wire 100 feet long to a motor be just as efficient as a wire 10 feet to a motor, would that benefit you? Now what am I going to do? Well, let's talk about what those benefits might be. I'm still not demonstrating the box yet, because I'm gonna help him understand the benefits. He or she understand the benefits. The benefits are, one, if you remove heat resistance from electricity, that's actually physically heat, by the way, like hot, cold, then the motor, any inductive load, light bulbs are not inductive, but fluorescent light bulbs are. TVs, computers, inductive. Yeah, they have inductive circuits in them, circuitry in them. They run cooler. Washer dryer motors, ceiling fans, refrigerators, heating and cooling systems, all have motors. If I can have less heat to that motor, they all run cooler. Now let me ask you something. Basic understanding, I want to make sure you're on the same page as I am, Mr. and Ms. Customer. If I remove heat and the motors run cooler, what's the benefit to you, to those motors?
More efficient.
More efficient, number one benefit. More efficiency means saves you money, just running the motor. Correct. Second benefit to that is I dramatically extend the life of all those motors.
Exactly.
Your computers last longer, your TVs last longer, and I go right back through them. Your washer and dryer lasts longer, your heating and cooling system lasts longer, your ceiling fans last longer. Everything inductive in your home lasts longer. Let's talk about that for a second. If you just replaced everything in your house one time that had an inductive mode to it, just one time, just went out and bought a new refrigerator, new washer and dryer, new dishwasher, new heating cooling system, everything inductive. If you bought all those one time, what would that cost you? And have them calculate it. Not you, you have them calculate it. Have them write it down. Washer, dryer, now how much would that be? Oh, about $15,000. Just one time. Now, if I can double the life of all the motors, I've done that for you, haven't I? So think about that. That means if I can install something in your house that'll prevent you from having to buy all this equipment just one time, I saved you about 15 grand just in your personal house. There are people that would be 30,000 to do that, but just in your house it'd save you 15 grand. So if I only wanted 15 grand for my solution, you broke even the minute I turned it on, didn't you? Now, obviously, I can't sell it that cheap, but if I could, I'm just joking. It don't cost 15 grand. And I do that. You know why I do that? That's called price conditioning. I want them thinking high, and then I'm going to hit them really low. But you see what I did? It's a whole emotional game that they laugh at. It's a sales tactic, but they don't pick up on that. I promise you. It just happens really quick. I just make the joke. So if I could get you this resolution for your problem for $15,000. It paid for itself the minute I plugged it in, didn't it? Do I say it and then just go on? No, I say it and then ask them a question. The question is, didn't it? In other words, do you agree with what I just said or do you not? Because if they say, well, I don't know about that, well then I got to go back and go back through it again. They have missed something. That's my fault, not theirs. It's my fault. I need to go slower. And I will tell them that. I apologize. We've missed something. And I will go back through it. And I will not go pick up the box and start demonstrating it. Because it's irrelevant now. The box doesn't sell itself if you don't identify the problem. It sells itself if they identify with the problem, they agree with the problem, then they agree they need to resolve the problem. Then you demo the box, bam, it's done. Because you're not going to be anywhere near 15 grand to sell the box. You said you're just going to let them go for $12,900. Just kidding. But everybody with me? So step one, identify the problem. What would step two be? Solve the problem. That's what we're doing, right?
Right.
But we're getting them to agree there's a problem, and then you get them to agree to fix the problem. By saying, would it benefit you if I fix that problem? It's a simple question. I don't think I've ever heard anybody say, no, I don't think it'd benefit me. Really? Because I just just explained to you, and you wrote it out yourself, that in your house alone, you got $15,000 in motors. But if I could just save you one life cycle, it would save you that much money. Everybody with me? Anybody disagree with that as a train of thought? If I was sitting in your house, would you be thinking, well, what a jerk he is for asking me that question? I would hope you wouldn't think that. Because if you do, then I'm coming across like a salesperson, which is hard for me not to do when I'm sitting here doing a sales training. But I'm not doing anything that's not honest, Emma. They can't go to the internet and prove anything I said is wrong because it's 100% accurate. I mean, this is so funny. We were at Tennessee Tech, and it's your friend that's the head. He's like the engineer. This guy's brilliant. He's building capacitor systems for cities so that they don't have blackouts, and he's building it in his lab. This guy's brilliant. And then we're telling him, you briefly mentioned, or it was either you, I can't remember, that we had a technology that briefly we use capacitors, and we help people with an automated system adjust and handle their power load coming into a home. He goes, I got a student trying to build a box like that, and he takes us over there and he goes, come here. He's got 2 little bitty capacitors to help a little fan run more efficiently. You know why he's doing that? Because it's the only way you can fix the problem. There are no other options available in this world today than we have. But what we've done is we've taken that technology and improved it by automating it, giving it a brain. It has a brain. What's a brain in today's time? A computer that thinks for itself. It actually does think. It is an actual brain. You know what, can I get you to do me a favor, Dale? I hate to ask you to do this. You know what my truck looks like.
Yeah.
Go look in my back seat.
Okay.
Pull that clear top box out.
Okay. All right.
So, now we've solving the problem is demonstrating the box, right? That's how you do. We're going to show you how to do that. But do we have any questions at this point? So let's recap. Do a warm-up, keep it no more than 5 minutes. Anything longer than 5 minutes is too much, I can guarantee it. Because even if they don't have the guts to say, because some people are just so nice, when are we going to get to why you're here? They're thinking it. I'm just telling you, they're thinking it. I can't count the times. I mean, I'm telling you, from the minute I get into a house to I start with identifying the problem is usually for me 30 seconds. I do no warm-up. I mean, I do none. Because they don't care who I am. They don't care if I like their family or not. That's not why they got me there. So I'm not going to pretend to care about their family when I don't even know their family. I care about people as a whole, but most people do. They don't need to hear me tell them that I do. That's not important to them. It really isn't. But as you go through the process, that is the warm-up. Does that make sense? The warm-up happens when you're being honest with them about why they got you there. That's how the warm-up happens. So, am I doing a warm-up? Yes. But never saying anything that they could possibly disagree with. I don't ask questions I don't already know the answer to. There's nobody that I'm going to look at and say, now, if I can make this motor just as efficient 100 feet out as the one that was 10 feet from the power source, can you see how that benefits you? There's nobody that's going to say, oh no, that wouldn't benefit me. Because if they say that, here's what they know. Well, they made themselves look pretty stupid, didn't they? When in fact, people are actually very intelligent in every walk of life. I mean, they're way more intelligent than you think they are when you first meet them. It's shocking sometimes. I just go, wow. I'm not sure this guy ever went to school, and then I realize, well, it doesn't matter that I went to college. This guy's got more brains about him than I do. My dad was that guy. I graduated from college. My dad went to the 6th grade. I wish I was as smart as he was. I absolutely am not. He managed money better than me. We always had anything we wanted. So I don't judge people based on anything but a conversation. How about you guys? That's how it works, because that is life. And man, they sense it. If you're judging them, if you're trying to talk over their head, they don't like you. So be very careful trying to be technical, because they will stop liking you. You think you're teaching them something, and they're going, could you talk on my level and stop acting so smart? I'm just telling you, it does. It's why engineers as a whole are not good salespeople. They'll tell you. It's because they don't know how to talk in layman's terms. They weren't trained to do so. I mean, I could have asked your friend yesterday, you were brilliant. Are you a good salesman? He'd go, yeah, no, I'm not. Because people don't understand what I know how everything works, and I want to explain it. I mean, didn't he do that to us? He started talking over our head in 30 seconds. I was lost. I had no clue what he was talking about, and I sell solar. And that's what he was talking about. And he still lost me. And I've been selling it for 20-something years, and I was lost. I'm like, you're talking about what? I mean, I'm lost. He couldn't sell me anything because he would be over my head. Now I got to go, what? What the heck was that? I don't understand. I'm lost. So just be careful and just always talk and use third-party stories. You'll develop your own that you lived with, because if you did, they did. I mean, seriously, anybody here not stood under a high-voltage power line before? I think most of us as kids walked under them through the woods, because that's where they usually are, out in the woods somewhere. I grew up in the country. I'm just a country boy from South Carolina. That's who I am. Yeah.
You would talk about the EMFs right quickly, just a little bit there.
We are. You're on, and I appreciate that. You're on step 5. I'm on step 2.
Gotcha.
We're going to. Hey, what's your name, by the way?
I'm John.
John Joe Hamaker.
Hey, Joe.
My partner, Jim.
Jim.
And Bradley. So, and we're going to do that, I promise you. And I apologize for not just wanting to go, but I'm just kind of running on a little track.
Yeah.
Now, solving the problem is doing the demo of this box. Okay? Now, I think he wants to bring this box up here. Well, when I
have an extension. He's got a 50 times zoom.
Okay. Y'all want to set this up, and I can talk to these guys real quick? Okay, just set that up. You guys don't need to learn to set this up yet. You don't all have boxes. But, Dale, you do need to know how. It's actually pretty simple. It's just 2 clamps over a black wire, and then plug motors into an outlet. Who can do that? Every one of you can. Health thing, as you get older, a lot of people live in their home their whole life. I mean, I don't know if you've ever done this. This is a good thing to do for yourself. If you got a home that's 20 years old or newer versus a home that's 45 to 80 years old, walk in both homes blindfolded. You can feel which home you went into. You don't have to see it.
These things put out big time EMFs.
Oh yeah, they do. You can feel an EMF. There's a physical feeling to a home that has old wire. If you live in them, you will get headaches, you'll get things you don't have. Well, these eliminate 90% of EMFs the minute you plug them in. Because remember, heat creates vibration in the wire. Remove the heat, you remove the vibration. The EMFs are gone. That's how it works. And they've been using capacitors for 30 years to get rid of EMFs. But nobody ever created one for a home. Now here you go. These are right there. Okay? Right now he's got it running and
Got the motor on, we're all 3 motors and the box is off.
okay, we're
That's
getting,
good. There's
we're getting the cost now. It's measuring the cost per hour to run. How many motors you got? All 3 of them?
got 3 motors going right now.
Running 3 little motors. This box is Bluetooth and it's telling me the cost per hour and how many kilowatt hours I'm using based on your power rate here in Tennessee, what you pay per kilowatt. That's what this little meter is doing right now. It's telling me that these 3 motors are using 10 cents an hour to run, and it's taking 1.31 kilowatt hours to run all 3 per hour. You're burning 1.31 kilowatt hours. So in other words, if you ran those motors 24 hours a day and it never shut off, it would cost you basically, well, I think 24 times 10 cents. Yeah, to run. Now, everybody can see that. Yeah, you can see it here. See it right here? 10 cents per hour. 1.31 kilowatts. See, it's measuring it because we're clamped to that wire, to that 110. You'd have to double it because we're only measuring 1/2 of the load.
Do you mind just sticking that up?
Instead of the 220.
Can you just stick that up so I can just see the screen?
Oh, okay.
Hold it.
Is there a way to measure EMFs?
Yeah, you can measure EMFs. All right, now
Go ahead and put it, I'm gonna,
plug our box in.
so what I'm doing now, got the motors running, this is your washer, your dryer, your pool pump, anything like that.
Whatever.
The box normally would go into your panel on a 2-pole 20-amp breaker. But we like to do this real simply because everybody kind of can grasp it, see it, you don't think there's any trickery going on. So right now I'm going to plug this in.
The box come on.
The computer's thinking now. All 4 of these lights are on. Each one of these lights, if you want to stand to get a better look, and
Stand up.
afterwards,
You walk up here.
each one of these lights right here, these 5 lights, represents a capacitor. So right now it's got these 3 capacitors on.
I want you to notice that when we did the test of your friends,
Yeah.
it went from 2 cents to 1 cent.
Right.
Because he had very poor power. The hotel has better, cleaner power than they did, because with our box, it's immeasurable. We're not even running 1 cent, 10 cents an
I
hour.
was noticing that.
Yeah, because the power's cleaner here.
It's cleaner here. There's a lot of reasons.
Power's
Why?
cleaner here than
Well,
this
it's
part.
commercial business. They provide capacitor banks to commercial business with every power company in the world. That's what I was telling you yesterday.
Okay.
No matter what you think, they do. I'm like, there's no way they wouldn't make them big capacitors in any commercial. I've never heard of that. I'm an auditor for the power company. I've never heard of that. I'm shocked. So, yeah, you can, and that proves it.
Yeah.
There will never be a home where that's the case.
Right.
So now that we've put our box on, look at this.
Yesterday, see?
We're not even running 10 cents an hour. It's immeasurable. It's less than 10 cents an hour to run. It was running between 10 and 20. It was bouncing 2, 1, 2, 1.
So the power factor here
We
is
didn't have
very
the
good.
box. Well, it's better than the homes we did, but still not good because we still got rid of the 10 cents. It was
Right.
still less than 10 cents an hour to run 3 motors.
Right.
Now, that really got all 3 on. Disconnect one so they can at least see this change. And you'll see that it'll change. He dropped this motor, so it's rethinking now.
So that
And
motor
it
there,
just dropped a capacitor. See this capacitor go?
Drop 2 capacitors.
It dropped 2 capacitors. Says, okay, to run these 2 little motors, we only need this much microfarads of capacitance to run clean energy to it. He puts the other motor back on, boom, right back. It needs all the capacitance because this thing has a brain in it. This is the box, guys. You see it in here? You see all the motherboard? These are the capacitors. Now this box has 5. This is just for, so you can see. This is just for 3, but all the boxes you're selling have either 4 or 5 capacitors for the use of residential commercial. Okay? So these are the capacitors that's turning on and off, and this brain's doing all that. And then of course, the only thing you don't see in here is our transient voltage surge suppressor, which is why this box is smaller. In here, these 2 lights represent 2 TSS voltage suppressors for storm surge protection.
can we buy one of them for Dale? Brain, places brain, could we do one?
Well, we tried, but then we punched in Dale's name and it said, we don't have that equipment. I don't understand what that meant. Too big.
To make it in you.
I like that.
Yeah.
So everybody understand, oh yeah, that's what we are right now. That's a great point. Might as well do it now. So let me explain to you why that box needs to adjust capacitance, okay? What makes the technology so good and what the patents are on, and if you want to see the patents, and if you're an investigative guy, the patents are right here on the box. The patent numbers are on there. You can type them in, go to uspatent.com, type the numbers in. You'll see they're real patents. We have the patents. They're good for almost a little over 4.5 more years. Nobody in the U.S. or any in China and Canada.
India,
India.
China, Canada.
These patents are good in all these countries. None of those places can duplicate our boxes, sell it here. If they duplicate it and sell it in China, to be honest with you, we don't care. Even though we ship boxes over there all the time. Because they don't like to buy Chinese equipment either. They'd rather buy it made here. So the fact is, those patents are good all around the world. We ship boxes all around the world. But the reason that box needs to auto adjust is because if you go to a home or business that has a decent amount of inductive load, which 99% of homes do, then that capacitance needs to go up and down as motors turn on and off. If not, capacitors pull power. These are load capacitors. It'll cost you money to have a box on the wall that doesn't go shut off and turn itself back on when there's no load. So in other words, it can save you when there's load, right? When a heat pump's on or whatever you're using for heating and cooling, and you got a few ceiling fans, and you've got a dishwasher running, and maybe you're washing some clothes. Okay, it's going to save you money whether it adjusts or not. But the minute that stuff starts to shut down, all the money it saved you, it takes back away, because it's loading power into it that you're paying for. You don't want that. Okay, so you want that box to be able to think. That's why when this motor turned off, what did it do? Drop capacitors. If he turns all three off, all those lights go off. These lights stay on because it has what's called a drip power. They don't load capacitors. It's just enough power to run the brain, so that if anything is asked from it, say, hey, send me power. Like you turn on a dishwasher, send me power. Okay, well then it'll send. That's what happens. Because it's not letting any power go in. Let me explain that. This is a great demonstration I do for every homeowner once I've demonstrated the box. Let me explain the box installed versus a box, your house as it is right now. So right now you don't have a box. So, I don't have a light switch in here, do I? So you walk over to their light switch.
Right there behind that.
Okay, yeah, we got one. Let me step over here and do it. We're gonna talk about EMFs in just a second. So I walk over here, and I go to their light switch or whatever room I'm in, and I go, okay, we got lights on. You don't have a box. I turn your lights off. Okay. You understand electricity just like everybody else does. I tell them, I know you understand this, but we're going to talk about it anyway. If I grab the wire from this switch to that light bulb, right here, if I just grab it, I won't get shocked, will I? No, you won't. You will not be shocked. Why? There's a disconnect. There's no longer any power from here to here, because as the bulb goes off, it can only go completely off when it unloads the wire from the break to there. It actually pulls all the power out before the light actually fully goes off. And it will pull 100% of it out. There'll be no power. And no power can go there because you broke the breakers apart. Those contacts are separated. No power will be sent from here to here. But your meter base is over here and your breaker panel is over here. So if I go behind that box, even with this switch off, and I grab that wire back here, is it going to shock me? Oh yeah, it's going to shock the crap out of me. Why? Because from your breaker panel, power is constantly being loaded. In fact, even though this switch is off, power is being loaded in there more than needed to turn the light back on. It will load every bit of power it can that wire is capable of handling based on how many feet of wire I have here and the size of it. It'll continue loading power in it until it can't load anymore. And then you'll at some point come back over and go click, and that loaded line will hit that light. And then this why bulbs burn out when they're on and like this, or do they burn out right when you turn them on? They go on, off. Yeah. They go on, off. That's when 99% of every bulb you ever seen burn out in your life happens, not while they're on, but once you turn them on.
Yeah.
Right. Because your power system loads that line the whole time it's off to that box, to wherever your breaker is. This is a breaker of the line between your breaker panel and the use of that power that switch controls. Okay, that's what happens. So that means every time your HVAC system turns itself off because your thermostat is wherever it is, there's a disconnect between where it turned itself off from, whatever, where in that breaker. But that line feeding that thing is constantly being loaded with power, so that when it kicks itself back on, bam, it gets hit with a surge. Every time it comes on and off, bam, surge, bam, surge, bam, surge. Added benefit to my box? Yes. I turn the light off, the light goes off. My box doesn't affect that. But what it does do, even though there's still going to be a power source from the switch back to the breaker, it will no longer load that line with excess power, because my box has storage capacitors that stores the power there. And when you request power, it comes from my box into the line. So those surges, on-off surges, they're over. Don't happen anymore. So you stop, on-off surges, they're eliminated. Spike surges are created by who? The power company. They're called spikes. Power companies will hit an average home 8 to 10 times a day with surges. Every power company in the country, not this one, it's every power
What's the
company.
purpose of that? Yeah.
It's just the way their lines load, and they send power to their transformer into your house. Because those lines backload, hit you, backload, hit you. There's nothing they can do about it. If you want to protect your home from it, you got to do it yourself. It's just the way it happens. There's no power company, they're not going to go spend billions of dollars to go stop that. Because it doesn't knock anything out now, but over time, it weakens everything running on power in your house. So we're going to stop that. Because it'll pull, everything comes from your meter base to my box before it even goes to your breaker. And it will hold it there. It won't pass my box until something's on. It can only load power into my box to the maximum of capacitance that I have, and then it'll stop. And then I got a little brain that says, "Oh, say this, turn something on." Boom, sends you power. Because you've activated a breaker that it runs, because it runs all the breakers in the panel. Even though it's connected to one dual 20, it is the least path of resistance the minute I turn the breaker on it's connected to, and it controls all power. Yeah.
How would it react to a power surge from like lightning?
We're going to talk about that. Okay, a direct lightning strike to your house is not going to handle that, is it? Because that could come through your roof and knock your TV out. Right?
Like
Come right through.
hit
It
the
ain't going
line.
to fix that.
Like hit the line down the...
But if that surge runs through the line, that's why our two TVSS systems are in here, transit voltage surge suppression. That's what these two lights are on. You always know when they're on. If these lights are on, the surge suppression is on. One of them is designed to handle spikes from the power company. Those are low voltage spikes. It'll eat them up and send them to ground. Okay, the other one is designed for anything over 150 volts. We set the brain at 150 volts. That's very low, but that's still higher than a power company surge. That would need to be something to hit that wire out there and ran into your house through the electrical system. We're tied to the electrical system. So as long as that surge comes through the electrical system, that TVSS will grab that power, send it to neutral ground, and right back out of the house. Can't get through the box, period. Never had anybody lose anything that had a box in 10 years installed. Not one. And we've got thousands. Because it will redirect that strike. But remember, a lightning strike here hits your house, that's not through the wire. You can't stop that. If it hits your breaker panel, bam, dead on, well, that didn't come through my box. That was a lightning bolt that hit the box. That's rare. You're talking about 1 in a billion that would even happen. Most things, when people lose computers and things like that, or a compressor, it comes through the electrical wire.
Yeah.
If it comes through a cable line or a TV line, we can't fix that. That's not the electrical system. So if you lose a TV through a cable line, that can happen. That's not the electrical system.
I've had it hit the transformer, you know.
That's how much, 99% of all takeouts are the transformer being struck.
Yeah.
Our TVSS system will pull that power in to neutral to ground and back out. It's what's going to do. It's going to send it right back out. A lot of people think it captures it in the box and just holds it. No, it redirects it. It is the least path of resistance. It will literally shut down all the breakers. That's what the brain does. That's what TVSS system does. It shuts it down so it can't see the power, and it sends it to neutral and ground. And then once the volt, surge passes, everything comes back on. That's what the brain does. It runs your house for you. It's just killer. I'm going to tell you, 99% of people that buy a box from me for 10 years bought for that one reason. And then the other reason is I extended the life of all their motors dramatically. They don't buy for energy savings. They got me there because it saves energy. But when I share the two real things, and then if they're older, in their 60s and 70s like me, and I start talking about EMFs being gone, and they live in an older house, man, they're like, just give me that. I know all about headaches.
Dangerous stuff. Very dangerous.
EMFs are brutal on you as you get older. I promise you, that's the real deal. And you tell somebody those EMFs are going to be gone, they will be. And if EMFs are causing their headaches, they won't have them. Don't get me wrong, if headaches are being created because of lack of blood flow to the brain or oxygen because they snore too much, EMF reduction is not going to fix that.
And John, I know.
But if it's being created from EMFs, it will stop.
And EMFs, I know burnt you out a long time ago, but this box, John, will take care
I
of
knew
you.
that was coming.
Yeah. Yeah, John, you're the one he was talking. You're
That's
talking
right.
about John
That's
with
right.
the EMF problem.
That's
Okay.
right.
Your problems are resolved, John.
Amen.
You're good.
Thank you.
Amen.
I'll take it, yeah.
Amen, brother Dad.
This
But,
is impressive, and man, for only $1,500, like Dale said, this is great.
Well, that was, I think, what is it?
You're on it.
It's gonna be $15.99.
That's what he said. That's right.
Guys, it's worth every dime. Are you kidding? What does it save when you plug it in? Somebody tell me. Take your own house and tell me how much money I save in your house as soon as I plug it in. How many motors do you have? Do that for yourself. And I want to say this to you, and I mean it sincerely from the bottom of my heart. If you wouldn't buy this, you can't sell it.
Absolutely.
Find
So-
something you'd buy.
When you say
That's like me selling
motors,
solar, and somebody asked me, "You got solar on your house?" "Oh no, I don't have solar on my house." "Really?" Of course I don't have a power bill. You kidding? I sell solar and I got a power bill? No, I don't have a power
I've
bill.
been to this guy's
I'm an
house.
auditor for the
He's
power
got
company
solar.
and I still don't have a power bill. I have a $19.95 connection fee to Duke Energy. That's what I have. Because a system can fail and I want to be able to hit the switch and still have power until I fix it. Go ahead. Okay.
We had electrical, you was talking about very seldom running in the house, something we've had 3 or 4 times. Last time, different house, it melted the fuse box.
It can. You had a direct hit to a
yeah,
transformer
yeah.
there.
And I just happened to be there and heard the sound, went in, it was on fire. I had to put it out.
Oh yeah.
I pulled the main switch out. With this,
It would have stopped that because it would have set it to ground so it didn't move into those breakers and fuse boxes. It would have set it to neutral and ground.
We had
All
to
the power goes back to the power
we had to
company.
get
And if you
everything.
have a grounding rod, into your ground in your house. Some people don't have a ground rod.
We did.
Okay, it would have set it there. Because your grounding rod's connected to your breaker panel.
Yeah,
It would have set it there. Some people don't. What happens then? People say, well, if I don't have a grounding rod, where it happened? Well, it goes right to the power company. It goes right back into their wires. Get a ground, zoom, send it right back.
This is
Because that's what happens anyway. A lot of people don't know this. You have raw power. This, I forgot to tell you this. I can't believe it. This is going to shock you because very few people know this. You don't pay for power until it passes your breaker. You understand that, right? It goes through the meter base, and that meter doesn't spin or count anything until it goes past the meter and then goes through the breaker. The breaker is the source of calculation. It measures power once it passes the breaker. That's how a power company's financial system works, okay? So, you pay for 100% of all power the minute it passes the breaker, usable or not. But you can't use 100% because it's too dirty. It has too much heat resistance as it moves through your wires. Average home uses 80 to 84, 85%, average home. Based on what I just saw here, that proved to me they probably use a little higher than that because they're more efficient. But you'll never see what I saw here in this commercial building. You'll never see that. There'll always still be a cost. It'll be more in the 20 cents per minute to run 3 motors in a home, not 1. This was jumping between 1 and 2, 1 and 2, then it kind of fixated on 1, which tells me it's probably in the 15 to 16 cents, okay? But it only measures from 10 to 20 to 30. That's the way it does it. So, when you've used that, whatever percentage of power is efficient enough for you to use, what happens to the part you couldn't use? Well, that goes back to the power company, to their capacitor systems. They're out here on poles. They look like transformers, but they're sitting up on a pole. They're a little different. They're not a transformer. They're usually square. Transformers are round. They're usually square. Or you're riding down a country road and you see a bunch of big boxes inside of a little fence. That's the capacitor system that feeds certain neighborhoods. And all bad power comes back, is cleaned up, and resold back to you
In other words, they
for the
sell it
same
twice.
rate. They sell you an average of 12 to 15% of all power is paid for and resold back to you. They're not going to lose it. They're not done. Guess what happens for you? 100% of all your power is used by you and never sold back. Because we're only making it 90, 40, 97% efficient first pass, but the 3 or 4 or 5% that doesn't get used comes back to where? To my capacitor, and we send it back to you. These are load capacitors. These are not fast starts. They capture all power coming from both ways and then comes back to you.
You was talking about,
That's how it works.
you talking about motors running a minute ago. What about the digital? Everything's going to digital now anymore.
Well, yeah, because most digital is inductive. So it's the same thing.
It's the same, yeah.
It's the same thing.
Good to know.
The savings is not as high with that type of inductive load as it is with a motor. So let's talk about how you discuss energy savings with the box. We tell everybody up to 25%. Up to 25%. In my career, I've never seen less than 8 or 9%. That's been over 10 years. But I've actually seen as much as 30, maybe a little more percent than that. But I never talk about the ones that are rare. I tell everybody that I talk to, you don't buy it for energy savings, you buy it because you save about 15 grand a minute I plug it in. You buy it because storms aren't going to take anything out for you. You buy it because there'll be no more EMFs in your house. But as an added benefit to it paying for itself, the minute I plug it in, it's actually going to physically give you money back. So if 10 to 12 or 13, 15% will make you happy, well, I can't see it doing any less than that. How about you? How about you? Hear what I said? I can't see it doing less than 8, 10, 12, 15%. How about you? If they say, well, yeah, I can see it doing that, bam, that's a done deal. Does that make sense? Because if a guy says, well, I only want it if I can be the 25%er, pack your box and leave. Wrong guy. Wrong lady. Don't sell them a box because you know who they are? They're the person that picks up their power bill every month and tries to calculate every cent and how it happened. And possible. The brightest person on earth can't do that. You know why? There's too many factors that go into a power bill. How many times did you open and close your door that month versus last month? And I love it when people say, well, August 16th versus August 17th, August 16th, 1 year later is the same thing. I'm pretty sure it's not. Did we get the exact amount of rain August 2016 as I did in August 2017? Did I have to the penny, to the second, the same amount of sunshine on my roof? Pretty sure I didn't. How many times did you go out your door in August 16 versus August 17? Pretty sure that wasn't the same either. There's no possible way you can figure that out, sir. Here's what I know. My box cannot fail. Whatever your power bill is after you put it in, and it's been running for 30 days, it's less than it was going to be. Do you agree or not?
What if lightning
If they
runs
don't
on
agree,
that?
don't sell them a box. Huh?
Can lightning run on that?
No, these
That's
boxes
just a
all have
clear
surge
display.
protection. This one don't have the surge
No,
protection.
no, what I was meaning, can you get a big, like we did and hit the house and did all that
Well,
damage?
in your case,
Will
if
it-
it hit the house,
No, I'm just talking if it hit that, could it damage one of those?
yeah, it'll blow it right off the bolt, strikes it directly. Yeah,
See, that's what
because it has no way of
does.
capturing it. It only captures what comes through a wire,
Yeah.
not a direct impact. So you got to always be careful to make sure they're clear on that. We don't warranty against lightning bolt hitting the box,
Is that
just
covered?
hitting wire feeding your house.
Would that be covered under insurance then?
If it hits the wire and comes in, it would be. What is the insurance at this point? Everybody has homeowners insurance. They lose a TV, a HVAC system, computer, or anything. Homeowners are going to cover the cost of that, minus the deductible.
Yeah.
Average deductible is $500 to $1,000. We will pay up to $1,000 of that deductible. So their cost is zero.
Here for
They lose a TV or a computer or a heat pump. The most it could cost them would be $1,000.
Now they get away to charge for it.
We paid $1,000. Insurance company put the system in.
How would the box work on a solar system, or could it?
Yes, it does. That's the next point. Okay. Solar panels are no different than anything else. Okay, a solar panel produces a current, electrical current, right? I'm not going to go into the technical reasons and how a silica cell and all that works. That's not important. We know that a PV panel, a photovoltaic panel, captures the sun's UV, right? And then it will do what? It creates electrical current through itself, and then it inverts it to usable power, okay? So it becomes the source of current.
Before you continue with that, a point on this other, when you're dealing with people, you talk about potential savings and so forth. I live alone, I got a huge house. When
Yeah.
I had my 5 kids there, it wasn't that big, it is now.
Yeah, I understand.
But I leave early, I get back late. So I'm home basically to sleep.
Right.
For a little more than that, but doing my work out of my office at home, late in the evening and at night. So, all this stuff is going on, all these motors are kicking on and off, and all this is happening while nobody's getting the benefit of it.
Right. Well, you
So
have
in that case, there would be more savings to the individual
sure.
who isn't at home most of the time.
Well, either way, if they keep and cool their house home or not, the same, they keep their thermostat on the same, the savings is the same. They don't have to be home. The house
But
is
they're
still
not getting the
heated and cooled.
benefit of the use of the equipment and everything, and
If
it's
they're not
still
home?
functioning.
I'm not understanding why they're not benefiting.
You like
'Cause they're
watching,
not there.
watching TV or?
They're not there.
You don't have to be there. You don't feel
No,
the
he don't
loss.
mean this, he mean benefit of electricity.
Benefit to them as
Oh.
an individual.
EMFs,
And
on EMFs,
you know,
that would be accurate.
I'm not opening the refrigerator door 3 or 4 times a day. I'm not cooking. I'm not doing all these
Right,
things
right.
that are using energy because I'm functioning. It's
Correct.
functioning
Yeah,
during the day and so forth.
correct.
So for an older couple or an older person,
Yeah,
then it's even more important to us
it's more important to them.
because of the protection.
You're 100% right. Whether they're there or not, it's exactly right. So it's a win. There's just nobody that doesn't need it. If
See,
they own a home,
if I hadn't been there that day when that hit us, the house would burn.
it
So
could.
this could have, no, it would have, it's on fire. I put it out.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, because your box was on fire.
Yeah, but this would have helped prevent that.
Having said I never had a failure, I did have a box failure, and the power was, the strike was so strong that it melted my box. But it didn't catch on fire, and it didn't take a single thing out in the house. So we just set them a new box and installed it. It melted the box.
And that's
The
as far as
TVSS system, it stopped right there.
Melted it.
It sent it to ground. It's going to go to ground, but the capacitors melted, and there was so much heat in the box, the metal casing crumpled. That's how much heat was in it.
Wow.
But no fire. Didn't have a fire. Never heard of one of you. Yeah, never have. We've had them melt, but I only had one in 10 years, and I've installed thousands. So I don't know how many Jim's installed, many, probably thousands himself, and been involved with the factory way longer than me, because he was involved in creating this whole technology.
Where
But-
would you install those on a solar system?
Okay, same place. It don't go to the solar system, still goes to the breaker panel, because you tie to the power company's grid anyway.
Because I had 2 of them.
Yeah.
2 systems that actually blew out because of lighting.
Yeah, it can, because it's still gonna feed your
Right.
system. It'll take the whole solar system out.
Yeah.
So I install solar, guys. I never put a solar system in, I don't put a box on it, ever. I don't give my customer a choice, it's in my price. Here's why. One, I'm protecting my equipment that I'm standing behind, and I'm the one doing the service if anything goes wrong. And I want to protect their home and everything in it, including the system they now own that I'm installing. It protects everything connected to electrical wiring. And that panel's connected to the meter base. That's the grid. That power comes to that meter base from a strike out there, it takes everything out. The solar system, it takes everything out. So I'm going to protect the inverters I have out there, I'm protecting the computer monitor, I'm protecting the panels themselves.
What
Because they're wired.
A lot of the big systems I put in, they have lightning arresters on them.
Yeah, they do.
Can those still go out without the box?
Well, let me help you out. They have lightning arresters, but most of those arresters are set at 250
Right.
volts, not at 150.
I see.
We do ours so low So we protect the smallest protection. Lightning don't have to hit at 250. It can hit at 200 and it still take your panel out because it doesn't kick on. It wasn't a big enough strike, but it can still melt your inverter. Even if you're using micro inverters, it could melt every one of them. Okay, instead of a main inverter. So that may be something to you, may not. But anyway, you understand he's called solar. But here's what I want you to also know. These panels produce so many kilowatt hours of electricity per 1,000 watt system, right? 1K system. They're not, this box doesn't change how much they produce. It changes how much of that power is usable after it's inverted.
That makes sense too.
That's what it does.
The next question I was gonna ask is how
Because
much,
it's even rawer power than the power company. It's lower grade than the power company
Right.
produces. So it makes solar really efficient. So they get more usable electricity from the panel.
well, even on a battery packed solar system that's completely off grid, that actually saves power too, as far as what's running in the house. Because I
Yeah.
have houses that are running
Of course.
completely on solar.
Yes, it does.
What about
With a
Yes, it
battery pack.
does. It does. Because the battery's going to feed the electrical system to
Right.
get the power
That's what I
anyway.
was wondering, the battery's gonna feed the electrical system.
Yeah.
The Outback inverter has all that stuff in it there, but I was gonna say, does that save power as
Yeah,
far
because
as?
the battery, just think of it this way, every one of you. The battery system he's talking about, solar's feeding power to the battery, then the batteries will feed the house when the sun's down, right? That's what a lot of people use battery systems for, when the sun's down. Okay, but that battery doesn't connect directly to the washer and dryer, it connects to the power grid. And it sends free power there so that it can be used there. So still, has to go through my box first. Immediately cleans it. Any power in the battery will be cleaned again before it's used. But the cool thing is, you'll get more usable energy into the battery now, even before it's used from the battery. So it's really cool. That's that. Any questions on the box? Can anybody here think it's worth, do you think it's worth $1,600 to have that in the house? Anybody not think so? Be honest. Anybody?
It really makes sense to me, because
it's
I know the
phenomenal.
surge it takes to start a motor.
Yeah.
And just for instance, I'll give you a little example. On 48 volt system that I put in for a big chicken house operation, it's all completely on timers and everything, and the surge for that would help because it's a 48 volt system. I had to use a 2-aught wire to run to the motor. One of these things here would actually help that power to the other end of that wire, right?
That's correct. Everybody understood what he just said. I know you do, don't you, Teresa?
It worked on, if you're using a generator too, right?
Of course, sure will.
I mean, I didn't heard you mention that.
Yeah, it does. Yes.
Well, I was gonna ask, it's kind of what you were saying. Do you ever have people ask you because it stores electricity? If your electricity goes out, will your lights
It-
run?
No.
I know
It
you ever had people
stores,
ask
but
that.
understand, you're talking about 5 capacitors.
Yeah.
Okay? It's storing enough to start the things in your house, not enough to run your house. It's not a battery.
Now, I wonder if people ever ask you that question.
I have.
Thing.
Yeah.
I've had them, and that's okay. It's not a stupid question. There are no stupid questions. That's why I ask. But yes, they will ask you that. Also, if it stores power, then man, if the storm knocks everything out, I could probably still run my lights. Yeah, for about a second. And then the power in there is gone.
Yeah.
Okay?
Open up our shop.
Now, what we want to do is,
Before you go there.
Go ahead.
How would that work, like, so you got it hooked up on a solar system, and then for some reason you had used generator? Be it to fire,
say
You
that
mean the
again.
power to the generator? It would,
no, to hook the solar system on the generator, or the batteries to charge them
to
up.
charge it back, it would be the same thing.
It'd be the exact same
If
thing.
it's cloudy for 3 or 4 weeks, 3 or 4 days or whatever.
That's exactly right. It's going to work the same way.
Same way?
If a panel's good enough to collect UV from cloudy days, any good solar panel will collect power
Right.
on cloudy days, unless they're full of moisture, like really dark clouds, they struggle. You may know
I
a
know
system that'll do better. But the ones I use, they tell you don't talk too much about producing kilowatt hour power, usable power, from real dark clouds. But light clouds, they produce plenty efficiently.
They produce,
Yeah, plenty of power. So yeah, then it's still gonna work. So now, I just wanna make sure everybody understands this box before I move next, cause I'm only got about 30 more minutes of training, then I'm gonna flip it over, I'm gonna get ready, and then today's my daughter's 30th birthday. And I forgot when I scheduled this weekend. So my wife's ready to kill me, because the 30th is big
But we don't want that to happen.
for my daughters, and she's my youngest, so I gotta be there, and that's at 7 o'clock at night, and I gotta drop back to Greenville. But Jim's in no hurry, he's gonna answer all questions and all, he knows just as much as I do, I'm just doing it. He tries to sound a much better salesman than him, and that's just not the case, he's a really, really good salesperson. And he installs better than I do, so there you go, he win-win. But, facts are, the box is worth every dime, 0 competitors. How many times in your life would you like to have a product you could sell that nobody could compete with? Well, for the next 4.5 years, nobody can compete with us, because we have attorneys on staff. If somebody makes an Autobox and we find out, they won't be selling it more than about 30 more days, because our attorneys will shut them down. We have patents that protect that. We don't care if they try to sell them out in another country.
I'm gonna address that real quick, this
Yeah.
question. Our oldest patents have 4.5 years left. We have newer patents and we have more patents coming.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so I don't want anybody to think you've only got 4.5 years in this business and we're out.
No, it's not that way.
It's not that way. We're gonna be protected for a very long time.
Because you're staying on the cutting edge.
We're staying on the cutting edge.
Yeah,
We're
right.
constantly evolving. And I'm gonna let Joe finish what he's got to do in the next 30 minutes. When we're done, I'm gonna talk about a few things and answer all your questions. Any more questions, I'm gonna point out a few things as well. But right now,
Yes.
he's on a time frame. Mine's a little bit more open.
I mean, we're it in Tennessee. This is it. I mean, I've got
There's
Tennessee.
nobody has the boxes, guys.
Yeah.
And nobody else is gonna get them, because without Jim, well, they can't do
And if, for example, I'm not gonna say any of you are that person, but let's just say one of you are, and you call my manufacturer, I'm not gonna hide who it is. And you call up and you say, I'm interested in buying an Autobox. They're gonna say, call Jim Bradley, call Joe Amber. Joe knows who every one of Joe Kowalski, my manufacturer, our manufacturer, he knows every one of my dealers, okay? He's gonna know every contractor that sells. So there is no getting around, by any stretch of imagination. And like I told Dale, just real quick, I said, Dale, somebody calls from Kentucky, I don't have anybody in Kentucky, you're in Kentucky, but if somebody calls in Kentucky, I'm not gonna sell them that box. I'm gonna say Dale's right next door, here's his number, okay? That's the way we operate. It's, I'm not interested in selling a unit. I'm interested in Dale selling a lot of units.
Good protection for you. You'll always have our numbers. If you're in a house and they say, well, how do I know you're the only person I can buy a box from? Well, here, call the manufacturer. And when they call, they're gonna ask us, what do they cost? Sir, we don't sell direct to the consumer. There is no price direct to you. I can put you in touch with the dealer. His company name is, in your state. He's the only person you can buy our box from. Your credibility just went right through the roof, because everything you said is now true. Does that make sense? Because a lot of people claim to be the only one on products they have in the homes, but customers don't believe it. They literally don't believe it, but if you can prove it, that's a whole other level. And I promise you, you can prove it. Because you'll have my cell phone, you'll have Jim's, you'll be able to get, may not get an answer immediately, but you'll get one quickly. If you send me a text emergency, I'm in a house, I have a question, I'm gonna call you back in minutes, even if I'm in a house, because I run my own business. I'll still call you, I promise you, and I'll put your customer on the phone. I don't wanna go into a sales presentation, that's why I'm training you to do that. But I can answer a basic question real quick, I can certainly let them know they can't buy the box anywhere. It's not on the internet, it's not ever gonna be on eBay, it's only sold through our master distributorship, period, and you're talking to him or her right now.
Can't buy it at a supply house.
No.
I purposely set it up that way.
But you can take it with you if you move.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Great sales point.
Yes.
People say, well, I'm thinking about selling this house. Awesome. It's 4 wires. When you leave, take them, the whole box.
Big plus.
There's a little hole about that big in your sheetrock you gotta repair where the conduit went through the back into the
You
knockout
can
of
use
the
it as a
side.
selling point for the house.
That's
too.
right, absolutely.
Be good
Yeah,
to do
it's
that.
easy. I mean, you can do it. Or you can do that, and then I'm sure on the second house, Dale might give your customer a little better deal on his new house.
Wash,
$100 not
$20 maybe.
$125 discount.
Free donuts.
Yeah, free donuts. And we're getting them from the man.
That's right. There's only one Rouse and there's only one box.
Everybody understand how to sell this? Some idea? Right? Do you know more about it than you did when you got here? Because if you don't, my apologies, I did a really poor job. Okay? I hope you know a lot. I know everybody here can sell, but I hope I taught you a little bit about how to approach the sale. Because if you ever forget, if ever, you guys all know each other, right? And you're all out there selling boxes with them. If ever, say, Teresa is selling 10 boxes a month, seeing 15 people, and you're seeing 15 people selling 5 boxes a month, I'll tell you why that is. Teresa's doing this, and you're not. You know how much sales skill? Let me just help you out. Well, there might be another reason. First of all, you're male. And we're automatically behind the 8 ball when we walk. Okay. But I'm just telling you, this will 99% of the time be the reason. You're not taking the time to do this. Don't forget, identify the problem, and before you can move to solve the problem, what do you have to do? Ask them if they agree with the problem. And then if they solve that problem, does it benefit them? Write that down. Do you agree with the problem we've identified together? And do you agree if I solve it, there's a benefit to you? Got to do those two things, or you can't go to solving the problem. You're not doing the same thing I'm doing that I'm telling you to do. If you're not closing, you can't go from step 1 to step 2 without closing step 1. The only way you can close it is, do you agree with what we just talked about, or do you not? If they do not, you have to repeat step 1. Or pack and leave. You're not going to sell. You're going to run through all the steps, waste their time and yours. They're not mine. But I'm telling you, 100% of the time they'll agree here. You'll be able to get to here. You don't know if they're buying yet, but I promise you, if you can get past step 2, you got an 80% chance of selling that box.
And we got 0% financing too.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's something I hadn't had for years. I just recently obtained. He already has it for you.
0%, no financing fees. I mean, 1 year.
How you like it?
Yeah.
0%. Who can afford that? No money down. We're gonna finance for it for you. You just gonna make the payments. Ah, think you can afford that?
Sounds like a good business tactic.
Okay, so here you go.
Hey,
So what do you think? I'm not going to step 3. What's step 3? We agree there's a problem. We agree there's a benefit to solving the problem. We solved the problem. What will step 3 be? I don't even think I have to write it.
Sell it.
Price and sell it. I don't need to write it on here. Price and sell it. How I like to sell things is simple. And then I'm going to show you copper and I'm going to be done. How I like to price things is 2 prices. I get my price good for 90 days. And it's discounted. How I do this, I say this box is normally $1,995. So I tell them, it's normally $1,995. But, do you like salespeople? I just look them right in the face. Do you like salespeople come in here and they give you a discount? Boy, if you don't do it right now, the discount's no good. Does that make you mad? Because it makes me mad. I can't stand salespeople like that. And I'm about to do that to them, but they have no idea I'm going to do it to them a different way. I said, do you like people like that? And everybody will say the same thing. I can't stand the salesman does that. Show me a discount, and then I can't even get it unless I tell him right now. That makes me mad. Well, it makes me mad too. And I say, but we're not like that, guys. And then I knock $200 off that price. For $17.95, that $17.95, you call me anytime in the next 90 days, you can buy that box for $1,795. How you like that? $200 is a substantial amount when you think about it. That's 10% off the price.
And different markets sell it for different products. We're going to start out here at $15.95.
Yeah, I'm just saying that's what you guys are going to start at. So I'm just telling you how to do it. Okay, so $17.95, 90 days. Now, I want to get the business today done. And then I look at them, I say, but guys, don't think we're done, because we're not done. We believe if you make a decision within 90 days, that's pretty fast, and you deserve a financial gain for that. And that's the $200 I just did for you. But we're not stupid as a company. We also know when people decide to put themselves on the fence, they tend to stay on the fence. And with that program right now, I'm going to say 2 out of 10 people I speak with will call me back within 90 days even if they didn't buy the first day, and they'll take advantage of that $200 savings. But for those that are willing to comfortably move forward today, we're willing to do just a little bit more. Now, let me explain what that is and why we do that. These are facts I'm about to share with you. Before we started doing the today only portion of the discount, we don't take it all away, but there is a small portion you will lose if you can't do it today. But as you've already agreed, it was nice to get the 200 for 90 days. We're going to go ahead and offer it to you for $15.95. We'll give you an additional $200 if you can move forward today. Total savings of $400. The reason we do that is simple. It was a test market. When we just did the 200 for 90 days, about 35–40% of them went ahead and said, write it up at $17.95. I'm going to do it in 90 days. I might as well do it today. Most people, they already kind of know whether they're going to call you back in 90 days or not, so they go ahead and tell you to do it. But still, of the other 60% that didn't do that, we still had a few people call us back within 90 days and grab that $200 savings anyway. And we were doing pretty good, averaging about a 40% success ratio to number of people we saw versus number of people who actually became a customer. And then as a test market, we thought, what if we offered an additional $200 for people that could get off the fence today, but not take away the savings we've always given them? What would that do? Well, let me tell you, after just a 30-day trial, that 40% total went to over 70%. Not 70% total, but 70% today. Get the box, put it in the house. Why? Because money is always the reason we do or don't. It can be the best product in the world. If we don't see a real reason for having it, and it's not affordable or not worth in our mind what we're writing that check for or putting it on our credit card, we're not doing it. So just a little bit more bump made that big a difference to our company. So I hope you're not mad at us for wanting to have 7 out of 10 success versus 4 out of 10 success. Again, we won't take the entire savings, but you would lose the 200. There'd be nothing I can do about that. I've never had anybody be mad here. They always go, well, that makes sense. Because if they go, well, yeah, I'm not sure I like that. And I'd say, well, hold on. I get why you're saying that, but let's just say something for a second. And I like look at Teresa and I'll say, and maybe y'all are married, but I look right at Teresa because the woman will never argue with you as hard as the man will who wants to stand on those principles so hard. Women are more courteous to the person sitting in front of them. So I'll always look at the wife and I'll go, Teresa, if me and you owned the company together, and this program got us a 70% success, but the other program of only 90 days savings would only give us a 35 or 40% success, which program would me and you run our company on? And she'll always go, well, we want the 70% success. And she will, I've had wives look at the husband and go, what are you arguing with? That's just logical. Every time, they never argue, but I have tried to do that with the man. They'll go, well, I'm staying with the 30%, it's the right thing to do. Like, no, you're not. You would never do that. You would still do the offer, but he don't want to admit it. Because we can be that dumb. Even though we know we wouldn't do it, we'll claim we would have. No, you won't. You're going to offer the additional discount to raise that success rate, because that's how you stay in business. You know, and you can't be mad at that. Now,
Oh, I'm sorry, forgive me.
there's an additional noise in that camera that's not
Yeah,
really.
I know,
I'm
my
sorry.
video guy. Yeah.
Okay, now last, and I'm done, this is only gonna take 10 minutes. Only thing I gotta do is identify the problem that I'm gonna solve here, right? And then
This is
there's
a great product,
demonstration
man.
Okay, this is a great addition to the box. Problem is, heat coming into your house, making your house hard to cool or hard to heat.
That's just
Right?
what I'm looking at through the
Depending on whether
lights.
it's winter or summer. The problem is, how does heat enter the house? Or how does it escape from the house? It escapes in the winter and enters in the summer, right?
See all them holes?
That's how heat, because heat's the problem. Not cold, let's identify that. Heat is the problem, not cold. It's either heat loss or heat gain that is the problem. Here's the reason. Everybody knows heat rises, right? Heat rises, right? Can that principle change? Yeah, at every home in America it changes. Heat doesn't rise. Heat chases cold. That's the actual principle. Heat chases cold. And the minute you create an environmentally controlled space, you've changed the fact that heat rises. You have changed that. That is no longer the correct principle. For a home or business, the principle is heat chases cold. Heat rises when you're talking about an open atmosphere, because space is cold. The Earth's surface is not. Heat rises. That's where the principle actually came from. But if I create an environmentally controlled space, I changed it. It can be pulled down. It does. You blow air conditioning inside your house, you suck the heat out of the attic into the house. You don't think so? And when you go home this afternoon, if it's sunny, wait till a sunny day. Any of you have a pull down ladder to go into your attic?
Yeah.
Okay. Or any portal. However you get in your attic. Wait till it's 90 degrees. Your attic's going to be about, at 2 o'clock, if it's 90 outside, the attic's going to be about 130 degrees. And go open that attic door and tell me which way the wind blows. Well, the heat will come right down in your face. It won't blow your skirt up if you put one on. It'll come right down in your face. Why? Cold air sucks the heat right out of the attic. That's happening all day whether you open that hatch or not. Because heat chases cold. You just gave it a real clear path to cold air. And it's going to blow right into your face. In the winter, go open up that same hatch. Where's the cold air? It's in the attic. Where's the hot air? You're blowing it in the house. Now your skirt will blow up because the wind will run up your body and into the attic. Heat rises in the winter. It comes down in the summer in an environmentally controlled space. So we have to solve that, don't we? How do we solve the problem of heat gain and heat loss? We can't let hot air or cold air find each other. You've got to be able to hide them. You don't want the cold finding the heat. You don't want the heat finding the cold. And if you can do that, you can stop heat loss and heat gain. If you can stop heat loss and heat gain, what is the end result for you, the person paying the power bill on that building, that structure?
Energy savings.
Tremendous energy savings.
And especially important in solar, when you're doing solar.
Okay. But I've identified the problem by explaining the principle of heat rises versus heat chases cold. Because there's not an engineer in the world that won't agree with what I just said. They'll all go, that is accurate, sir. That is the rule of thermodynamics. By the way, that is the rule of thermodynamics. If you tell an engineer that studied thermodynamics that heat rises, he'll look at you and go, did you ever read a book? Because that's not accurate. I mean, they'll look right at you and they might not even say it, but they're thinking, you obviously never read anything about thermodynamics in your life, because it's not true. Heat chases cold is the rule. It doesn't go up. It goes wherever cold is. If the atmosphere is cold, yeah, heat rises. How do you think a hot air balloon goes into the air? What do they blow into a balloon to make it go up? Heat. Why does the balloon rise? Okay. Why does a balloon stop rising? They just pump all the heat they want. It'll never go any higher. Why? Because the air below the balloon is the same temperature as the air above it that it can sense, and the balloon will no longer ascend. It will level and begin to descend. That's why. That's why you can't go into space in a hot air balloon. It can't sense the air. It's too far away from it. It can't sense that colder air. The air below it has now gotten to be a very even temperature, and that balloon will not go any further. It's done. It's not going across Mount Everest because it's too cold in lower elevation. The temperature is the same as the highest peak, and it can't get up high enough. It's going to run right into the mountain. That's the way it works. Because heat chases cold. So it has nowhere to chase. It's just, it don't know what to do. The dynamic is over. So, in your house, this blocks heat from being found. Heat can't go through that. So you know, it can be 1,000 degrees, it can be 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit. Heat will not pass that in a transfer way. Don't get me wrong, it can conduct heat if it touches it directly. But ambient is air. So ambient heat in an attic is not gonna pass through to the other side because this is a reflective material called copper. They make this product in two materials. One is aluminum, one is copper. NASA uses gold.
That's the reason our taxes are so high.
Yeah.
I got a
Yeah.
question too.
Okay, go ahead.
I have a party right now that, I don't know what this stuff is, but he installed that stuff in his attic right now.
Silver. Yeah, aluminum. Easy.
I mean, that might be what it is, but anyway, he spent a lot of money on it, a lot of money.
Yeah,
He says it's not doing a thing in his house.
probably doesn't.
And I'm supposed to go there next week and install some attic solar fans
Yeah.
and gable end fans. And he says, why do they come up with this idea that it's supposed to save this?
It will.
And he says that it's not doing anything. He says, if anything, my house is hotter than it was.
Okay, probably installed incorrectly, or it's been there too long. Aluminum stops working when it gets dusty.
They just put it in about a month ago.
Okay, then probably installed incorrectly. Too many holes, not overlapped correctly. I don't know why, I'd have to go there.
Yeah.
And many times, I always take a thermal gun for measures temperature. Many times people will tell you, because I'm an auditor for the power company, I just had a whole bunch of insulation put in my house, because I'm an auditor. I'm not always going out to price, I'm going out to do an inspection. That's what I get paid by Duke Power to do. And it's a lot of times it's inspecting another contractor's work, like what you're about to do. And I'll go out there and they go, look, I just blew all this insulation. They blew 20 inches in and my
That's
power,
exactly
my house
what
is
he told me.
hotter than it ever was. This insulation's made my house hot. Is that possible? No, it's absolutely thermodynamically impossible to have happened. Why is the house hotter? Well, because when I shoot the air conditioned ducts, they're blowing out at 68 degrees. And all of a sudden, he's not getting 59 degree out of his duct. So the first thing I'm going to tell you to do when you get to the house is put his thermostat on 65 and let it run for 10 minutes, because you got to get all the heat from the ductwork to get the air as cold as it can possibly be. And allow that compressor to be as efficient as it possibly can be. So you put it on 65 so it can't cut itself off and start cycling. And then go take that thermal gun from one end of the house, from front to back, end to end, and shoot every one and write down the temperature. If they're not blowing out at 59 to 61 degrees, then the barrier has no chance to work. If it's blowing out at 64 to 65 degrees, he can't cool his house, I don't care what he does.
Can we wrap the ducts with this?
You can, yeah. That's already wrapped with aluminum.
Right.
And then that's proof that reflective barrier works, because if they think reflective insulation doesn't block heat, go on up in your attic, take your ductwork and just remove all that aluminum, and good luck cooling your house now, because you're not going to be able to. It will not deteriorate in an attic, and will last as long as the house stands.
Your bugs don't get Alzheimer's.
And bugs don't get Alzheimer's. I've never heard that before in my life, but I learned it yesterday here.
That's important, right?
I coined that. I'm gonna trademark it.
Yeah, you don't want your bugs to get Alzheimer's because they can't remember how to get home when you run them out. You want them to leave. Okay, so this will be the separation of heat and cold. Now, what you got to tell that customer is, I understand you think it's not working, but it's impossible not to work. I mean, it's impossible. Think about it. If it didn't work, why does NASA put it in a spacesuit? Because if they remove it and step out of that space capsule, they're dead. It's not the insulation above and below the barrier that keeps them alive. It's the barrier itself. It's the same thickness as this right here inside that spacesuit. Why? Because it doesn't allow heat or cold through it. And it's 1,000 degrees of heat and many degrees below zero in space, depending on which side of the Earth you're on, sun side or the dark side. If it didn't work, they wouldn't have it. They wouldn't send every satellite in the world wrapped with it. You can't send a satellite into space without this. The satellite will burn up as soon as it gets there. It's done. It'll freeze and nothing's going to work. It blocks heat and cold. It always works. The customer is 100% wrong. And I will tell him he's 100% wrong. Now, did they install it right? Probably not.
That's what I told him too.
Yeah, because it works. I'm not saying selling this. He may be that guy. There are people out there that you can't make happy. But what I tell you about when the customer don't answer my question right, I pack and leave. I will not waste their time. You can't waste mine, it's what I do for a living, but I won't waste theirs.
If it didn't work, I wouldn't be happy either.
Right, but you don't know if it worked or not. There are people, I've seen power bill savings of 40%, and I get out there and they go, look, my power bill's not dropped at all, and I'm going, okay, hold on one second. Last August, you used 1,300 kilowatt hours. This August, you used a little over 1,000 kilowatt hours. What do you mean you didn't save money?
I made my wife quit opening the door.
I mean, it says right here on your bill, you use less kilowatt hours, you save money.
Well,
Oh, I didn't notice that. Of course you did.
right.
I'm just telling you, this product can't fail, it's impossible. It'd be life and death for every astronaut that ever went into space if it didn't work. They'd all be dead, we wouldn't be talking about it. We'd be talking about why they were stupid enough to go into space. They'd all be dead. Every satellite wouldn't work. And the thousands of homes I put it in and had nobody call me except for one or two in my life that said it didn't work. What do I do when they tell me it don't work? I go out and look. And if I can't make them happy, I take it out and give their money back. You know why? Because his negative is not worth my company losing hundreds of thousands of dollars because he posted a negative, or she. Because in the world of computers, people right or wrong, you gotta remember, what they say is true, regardless of what you said, is true to them. So it doesn't matter if you're right. Don't stand on your principles, give them money back. Yeah, make it work it out. I've offered money back before, and I've had people say, well, I don't want my money back. Because when I say I'm gonna give you money back, I say, my guy will be out here about 7 in the morning to remove it. And you'll be shocked at how many times they said, well, I don't want to take it out. Well, I thought you said it didn't work. Well, I mean, the house is a little more comfortable, but I don't want to take it out. They're trying to find a way to get some money. They're wanting to get something out of me. Maybe it's a Free Solar Addict fan that they refused to buy when I told them they should get it. You see what I'm saying? You never know why they're saying what they're saying. You can't assume they're right. Here's what I do know. He's 100% wrong if he says it's not working. Even if installed wrong, it's doing better than it would be. I know that his house, regardless of the temperature, is cooler than it was without it. And I can prove it. I'll take it out for him. I'll measure the ceiling temperature while it's there. I'll remove it. I'll come back the next day and measure the ceiling temperature. It will be warmer on that ceiling. I guarantee it. Why? Now the sun is directly on it.
And
Now,
we're the only ones in Tennessee and Kentucky.
at this
that's got
point,
this.
selling this right here.
We got it.
There's nobody
We're the
selling
only
copper.
ones.
And that goes above your insulation in the attic, or how does that go?
I told you I'm going to end at 11. I got to. I have 15 more minutes. I want to handle one other thing so you understand how the attic works.
Does that go above your insulation in the attic?
Yes, it does.
Just
Why?
like-
Protect summer and hold the heat in the winter.
Do you, one
Put it
question.
up here, it's a summer only benefit.
Yeah.
Here it's summer and winter.
Do you put it over the ductwork or under it?
If the ductwork's laying flat, I'll go over it. If it's suspended, I just slide under it.
Okay,
You know?
okay. Just curious, because sometimes
Yeah.
if you got your ductwork sitting up there.
Sometimes it's
you have
tied
to
up.
break-
If it's on the
I'm not gonna
ground,
run big
Okay.
loops
quite
on it.
frankly, it's easier to
It's
go.
already wrapped.
Okay.
It's much easier. If that ductwork's on there, just go over.
Okay.
Okay?
I'm not digging me a hole.
And remember, they go, you're gonna have all my wires and everything covered. What happens if an electrician needs to get up here? Well, he just comes up and he slides my insulation apart because it's not nailed down. And then when he backs himself out, he slides it back into place. You just tell him in his price, you need him to price moving it away and trying to slide it back in place as best as he can coming back out. It's not hard, and any electrician or HVAC guy worth his weight at all, if he says he's not willing to do it, wrong guy.
Yeah.
It's not that hard. This material's pretty light. You know, and then they go, yeah, you're right, and then that's the problem solved. Okay, now I'm going to talk to you about the dynamics of an attic because it's important. And then, what, you have a question real
Well,
quick?
it qualifies for a tax benefit too, doesn't it?
Used to.
It used to.
Yeah.
I think that ended last year for Perry, as it did with insulation.
Depends on if it's renewed, so.
Right. Now, here's the other thing. You understand how an attic works, okay? Go back to being a kid. Remember, I do everything in third-party stories as I'm a kid. We all remember this. Yeah, or if I came to your house tomorrow, it was 90 degrees and it was perfectly sunny. Anybody got a tree in their yard with foliage on it to create shade? Anybody got one? So I'm gonna talk to you. Okay, 90 degrees, standing in direct sunlight in your yard, right? What's the temperature? If it's 90 degrees outside and I'm standing in the sunlight, 90 degrees. Because I'm in the direct sunlight. But if you and I standing together on that 90-degree heat, me and you walk right over and stand in the shade. What's the temperature? Is it still 90? No, we're out of the sunlight. What's the temperature? Excuse me. If you don't think so, put a thermometer in the sun, and go put one on the sensor. It will be 10 to 15 degrees cooler out of the direct sun. Now, are attics sunny or are they shady? They're shady. They're 100% shady. So if it's 90 in the sunlight, why isn't your attic temperature 75? Why is it just like the shade tree? You gotta understand thermodynamics so you can answer the question. But it's not 75 degrees, is it? A lot of people say, well, oh, I got an asphalt shingle. That shingle's intensifying the heat into my attic. It's that's accurate, but it's not the real reason. An asphalt shingle can only raise the temperature approximately 15 degrees. So 90 becomes 105. Is your attic only 105 degrees at 2 o'clock in the afternoon on a 90-degree day? No, it's 135, 140 degrees. That's where in the world did the additional 30 degrees come from?
Ventilation.
No ventilation keeps it cool. What creates the additional temperature? The insulation increase. Insulation costs. So you went, huh? Exactly what every customer does, they go, yes, that's what it's true. And when I explain thermodynamics, you're gonna go, oh, that's right. So let's talk about what happens to heat when you trap it. Go back to being a child. You ever had a school with the radiators on the wall that heated the classroom? What's inside the radiator? What's inside that cat tank? What is water? Is it cold water? What? Hot water. Well, did they blow in 230 degree hot water? No, they blow the water in at about 90 degrees. But you can't sit on it because it'll burn through your pants and your leg too. Why did it get so hot? Well, it's encapsulated inside cast iron. It's heat. And when you crap heat inside anything, it intensifies. It gets hotter. It's called ambient gain. So, what does insulation do to heat? As it begins to absorb it, it traps it. And then that heat, that 95, well, that 105 degree comes through that asphalt shingle. It goes from 90 to 105 into that attic space. That insulation R value starts to absorb it. And now it's trapped in there. And it's looking for cold air to go to, which is the air conditioner you're blowing in. And as it's sitting in there feeding heat into your house, it's also intensifying in heat through ambient gain. And that's the thermodynamic rule of heat trapped causes more heat. And that's why the attic's 130, 135, 140 degrees. It can be 160. It actually is, the hotter your attic is because you have more insulation. The more R value you have, the more hot the attic gets. Now here's the crazy thing. This was proven many years ago by the U.S. Department of Energy. It's easier to cool a house with no insulation than it is a house with insulation. It's absolutely 100% accurate.
Wow.
Because the attic will not increase 1 degree of temperature if you don't have insulation. It'll come in from 90 to 105 and stay at 105. All you gotta do is take the insulation out. But you would never be able to cool your house. I mean, to heat it in the winter.
That's the reason
You would die. You couldn't heat your house. It would just fly out.
That's the reason people.
There's nothing would be there to slow it down.
In the 20s, done all right in their house because they didn't cool them anyway.
Right, they had knob and tube wiring, which you can't insulate anyway, and they were fine. You can't insulate over knob and tube. You're gonna burn your house down, you can. And you will burn your house down if
But
you
they didn't have a
insulate over
window,
top
they
of
didn't
knob
have a
and
window
wire.
fan, you know?
They didn't have
Right.
a window or pot either.
That's
So
it.
that's why. But now keep this in mind. Then people say, well, I gotta heat my house too. I'm tired of burning wood. Now you gotta have insulation. Because whatever source of heat is gone really quickly if you don't have insulation in the attic and in the floor. So you gotta have it. So it's like a give and take scenario. So what do we need? Insulation. So we can heat and cool our house. But what we have to do to prevent that additional gain is we gotta cover the insulation. Now if I don't allow the heat to get into the insulation, I don't have the ambient gain. Now I'm dealing with less heat into my house. Does that make sense? So now it's 105 above instead of 135 above. Still hot, but they're way better than 135. Now you will get some intense heat from this material itself. Ask any installer that's ever put it in, because it absorbs first. You know, to reflect, it must first absorb. But the cool thing about reflective materials is they absorb and emit back. It's called absorb and emit in the direction opposite it came from. It goes boom, 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 boom. It bounces off. And same thing underneath. Wintertime, heat escapes through the attic, hits the bottom, comes back in the house. It escapes through the attic, comes back. Because it can't go through. It just gets there and stops it. 97% of it. 3% gets through because there's millions of holes in this. Take your sheet, point it at a light, do that, you'll see millions of holes in that little square foot to breathe. You can't solve a problem or create a new one called condensation. So all this material has millions of little holes in it, pinholes. When you show that up in a light like that, you can see the light right through the copper. So, you understand thermodynamics and why you have to cover insulation? Makes sense to you? Okay, that's why it's impossible for your customer to do right. It is impossible. There's way less heat in his insulation with aluminum or copper than there was when he removes it. Because when he removes it, he thinks he was hot before. He's going to remember just how hot he was before they put it in there. It just didn't do in his mind what he expected. See, everything is what he expected. So don't paint a picture so big that they expect too much, but tell the truth. I could tell everybody, this box will cut your power bill 25, 30%. And I'll be right sometimes. But what about the times I'm wrong? I don't worry about the times I'm right. I worry about the times I might be wrong. So what I tell them, 8 to 15% make you happy, that's fine. It's going to do that. But that's not why you buy it. You buy it because of these reasons. I don't ever sell because of energy savings. Not even copper. Because here's the other thing copper does. It doesn't just cut your power bill. It makes hot spots and cold spots in an attic, in a house, go away. Thermodynamics is why you have hot and cold spots in your attic. Insulation is not flat. It's got high spots, low spots, high spots, low spots. When you have a high spot, that's more R value. It takes longer for heat to get from here to here. So heat and cold is just like water, least path of resistance. So if you have a high spot and then a low spot right here, heat's being forced into the low spot faster than through the high spot. Now when I put copper, it's all relatively within 95% perfectly level, right? So now I've eliminated hot spots and cold spots because there aren't any. Everything levels out in the end. Another benefit. So if you walk through with that gun with barrier, you'll shoot the ceiling. There will never be more than 2 degrees difference anywhere. Wow. If it's installed properly. If they didn't, if they missed an area, you'll go, well, 72 degrees, 72 degrees, 79 degrees. I guarantee you there's no barrier there. They missed it. That's a heat sink. Boom. What's that phrase you use? I love it.
I can make a heat laser.
Laser. Yeah, heat laser.
I put it, so I do, this is your bed, I'm just for saying this is your bed, and I skip a square about that big right there. Well, all that heat that's in your attic's gotta come somewhere, and it's gonna come straight down right on you. And I'm gonna, when Joe's done, I'm gonna address what you said. I'm gonna tell you an experience that I had with barrier.
Yeah, so it's working, it's just did it get installed right? Don't have a clue. But a good thing for you to do for that customer is check the thermos temperature. Because as an auditor, 90% of the time when they have a house that won't cool off and it's properly insulated with or without barrier, it's because the air ducts are blowing warm air. That could not be a HVAC problem. Because that's why you shoot all ducts. This one might be 5961, 5961, 78. Okay, what the heck can that be? Same system. Well, there's a bad duct leading there. There's a disconnect. Hot air is getting in that duct before it gets to that vent. And it's a simple way to test that. It's really easy. And they've not done that for themselves, I promise you. You can do it, and then they'll go, wow, he knows what he's doing.
Can you charge extra if you wanted to wrap the ducts with this stuff and say?
Sure you can. I've wrapped it.
And we'll wrap your ducts, which will.
Yeah, wrap mini ducts.
But most of those are already wrapped though.
They're wrapped.
Aluminum.
They're wrapped with aluminum.
If they're old, like 20 years or
Yes.
older, they'll have holes in it. And it's deteriorated.
yeah.
It's aluminum.
Tears.
Tears. Aluminum deteriorates. Dust mites eat it. Doesn't affect copper. Another benefit.
Yeah.
Copper is less conductive to thermal transfer, higher conductive to electricity. You with me? So sometimes they'll go, wait a second, copper is more conductive than aluminum. That's why they make electrical wires out of copper now. You're correct, but you're talking about electricity. In the thermodynamics world, copper is less conductive than aluminum.
Now, what did you say before?
Copper is more conductive to electrical current than aluminum.
Oh, yeah.
But in thermodynamics, it's the opposite. Aluminum is more conductive than the copper, which is why NASA uses copper and gold in 90% of uses. They only use aluminum inside the suit because it's protected from all environment, so aluminum's good enough. You with me? But anything exposed to the elements, they use copper and gold. That's it.
This don't look like copper roofing here, is it? It turned green.
Yeah, that can discolor, but it will not deteriorate. This is real copper, guys. That's not a coating sprayed on aluminum. That's actual copper you're looking at. Both, that's two sides of copper with a laminated product in the middle so that it doesn't tear.
I bet
It's very strong.
is it really
Pretty strong.
That's very strong. Huh?
Really expensive.
I don't know where he's gonna sell it at. I sell it at a right around $1.75 a square foot install.
Kind of like put tile on it.
But it's way better than what insulation than that. Now, if they have no insulation, then you know, it's gonna work great, but you really need a little R value under it.
Yeah.
Okay? So, any questions? And I'm gonna have to leave in just a minute. I hate to do it. I wasn't planning on leaving till 3, but as I'm getting in my car, my wife said, "What time are you gonna get back Saturday?" I'm like, "Yeah, probably about 8 or 9 at night." She's like, "So you missing your daughter's 30th birthday that we planned?"
But you want to make sure that there's a little bit of an overlap. If you see a bunch of areas, you know, that aren't. And the other thing is too, so you want to see a sea of silver is what you're looking for. An absolute sea of silver. With this, a sea of copper.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
Sure.
just unfortunately, two things happen. Salesmen lie, salesmen let you believe things, and sometimes installers don't do their job. I did a lot of rechecks for installers that, he had one in Texas, that he's going back and all these people are like, "What's going on?" And they just didn't finish the install. It's hot. You know, it's 100, I measured one when an ambient air thermometer is 160 degrees up there. I'm up there working it. It's hot, but you got to get the job done. Come down, get some water, go back up there. I had a salesman that would let you believe that your air conditioner is never going to cycle. I know this gentleman that you're talking about doesn't have an air conditioner. But these people are calling me, and of course he'd always go back to me. He said, "Well, my air conditioner cycling." I said, "Well, I don't know where you got the idea that it would never cycle, but is it cycling less?" Sure enough, it does. Is it turning on later in the day? Well, yes, it is. Instead of 9 o'clock in the morning, maybe it's 10 or 11. And does it, instead of every 20 minutes, maybe it's every 40 minutes and it kicks back on? Well, yeah. Guess what? You're saving money. Because it cycles less. It comes on later. When that air conditioner's not on, it's not draining power. That's how this stuff works. It blocks the heat. And I'll tell you, I know it works. I literally have installed over 1 million feet of it personally. Literally. You know, I did 10, 15,000 feet a week over several years. So I did millions of square feet. And it works. And I told this story yesterday, and I'm just going to tell you on the radiant barrier, and then I'll ask if you have any questions on the barrier, and we'll go back to the box. I had a customer, after the guy before me, a couple weeks after I started, we got a call that their air conditioner quit working after the gentleman did the install. So they sent me out there to figure out what it is. Well, guess what? You go up there, you put in a light. He unplugged the air conditioner, plugged it in his light, didn't plug the air conditioner back in. So while I'm there, I asked the lady, I said, "Man, are you finding that this stuff works?" This is in Palm Springs in the summer. Anybody ever been to Palm Springs in the summer? It's hot. She literally went like this. I haven't had air conditioner in 3 weeks and feel how comfortable my house is. It works. So this is really a great product. Is there any questions on the barrier in general or specific? How about the box? Okay, I'm gonna point out one thing. Did everybody get one of these? I'd like you to look at the front. I designed this basic deal. Look on the front here, and somebody tell me what the last point is.
25% off the reader's bill.
It's the last thing I talk about. It's the last thing mentioned. If you go open it, what's the last thing we talk about? Energy savings. Like Joe said, we don't, you know, people are interested in the energy savings, but we don't sell just for the energy savings. Because number one, I can never tell you exactly how much a residential application is going to save. Give you a ballpark. you know, give you a ballpark. Commercial, we can get pretty tight. But if you go, and you're gonna see them, I've seen home shows where, I mean, you're gonna look, I don't know if y'all go to home shows, I don't even know about it out here, I've never been to one, but you're
Yeah,
gonna
we
see
do.
it. Okay, so you got your home shows, and you're gonna see a product, you're gonna see K-Bar, you're gonna see some other products. And you're gonna see Save. You're gonna see the Save 25%. Over here it's 6%. Industry standards usually 6 to 25%. Real tiny, the 6%. So you walking away thinking you're gonna save 25%. If you ever tell somebody you're gonna save 25%, you're lying to them. Anybody ever tells you they're gonna save you, that their box, that my box, I got the best box. This is the best box on the market. I'm not gonna tell you it's gonna save you 25%. I'll tell you it can. Had a guy on the East Coast save 35%. 35% with a box. The least I've ever seen is 9%. That I've personally seen was 9%, and that was Scott from Certified Electrical Distributors that are test on his house. It wasn't my product, it was another product. But the point is, that's for the technology in general, least I've ever seen is 9, and we've had 35. I'm not going to tell you about. I'm not going to tell you about the 35. You're never going to tell your customer about the 35. You're going to say it's going to be in there. A lot of, a good company is going to tell you. You can tell all these features. You got the home surge protection. You got the voltage regulation. You got the EMI, EMF, same thing. Extended appliance life. Then you're going to save some money. How much? I don't know. And leave it at that. You know, that's just a really comfortable way to sell it. You notice Joe never quoted a number or did anything like that. He lets you decide if it's the right product for you, and that's the way to do it. When you see the demos, yeah, it is. Any questions, comments, suggestions?
Can they do this and not the box?
Sure, you can. I'd rather you didn't. I sell boxes, but sure. It's a great package to have, but somebody just might want the barrier. It's going to have. You're going to have people. I had a guy in Texas. I'd gone to his house, and he went to our seminar, and I went and ran that appointment, and he just had a barrier put in 2 weeks earlier. And I said, "Well, can I look?" It was a fantastic install. I said, "I noticed they didn't wrap his water heater. We have a product. I don't know if the copper does, but we had a product that was a bubble wrap, and I wrapped his water heater for him. I just did it, and I sold him the box that we sold at the time because that's all he wanted was the box. He'd already had the barrier." So you're gonna get that, But you do the boxes, $1,500, barriers, this. If you combine them, you can lower the price of the box, but make it up in the barrier. We all know math.
Talk to me, what does the material cost, or like if somebody would want to do it themselves?
We don't do it that way.
Okay.
Do it that way?
No, we're not gonna sell it to individuals.
Okay.
The only way the warranty's gonna cover is if we come in and do it. I'll work with you on that.
Yeah.
And come up, if you get a job or something, I can either send somebody up. I prefer it for the warranty to cover, we've gotta install it.
Now the customer, and you don't want a customer installing it. Not because just you want the labor. You can't resell it. You can buy a regular radiant barrier. Copperfleck won't sell us. They won't sell it to me, they won't sell it to you. They'll sell it to a reseller. And you've got to, and you're not certainly going to get the price. Joe's been dealing with them for years and years and years. But regular radiant barrier, in a seminar, you never said radiant barrier. Because somebody's going to go Google it and find they can buy it pretty inexpensively, and they're going to buy the wrong stuff. Many a time I've gone, me as the installer had to resell it. And I said, well, look, what are you going to have your grandson install it? What's going to happen when he falls through? I'm factory trained. We're insured. We've got workman's comp. We have liability insurance. Because I fell through an attic. I went through an attic, sure enough. Right in Texas, the 2x4 was broken. I went to go wipe my forehead. I slid. Next thing I know, I got a 2x4 here and a 2x4 here, and I'm hanging. and he's sitting right there where you're sitting, on his couch.
Howdy.
And that's what he said. He said, "Hi." I said, "How you doing?" It happens.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But you're going to be careful. You're going to be careful. But things are going to happen. It's usually something silly. I grabbed a water pipe one time, the size of a quarter, so I always carried it. I'm going to teach you these tricks if you're doing the installs, and you can teach them later. I kept 5-minute mud in my truck all the time. I kept Navajo white. That's kind of the most common white in the house. I kept a can of Navajo white spray paint. I mix up my little 5-minute mud, patch it, kind of match the texture, spray paint it a little bit, and never had a customer complain. So it's not a bad. It's just what I did. If you're out there and you're selling it, and you're selling out in Kentucky, and you get you're selling so much of it, and you get your own installer, have them lay something down underneath the deal and get some gloves. Not, when you're done, when you put that lid back on, you were at it all day, the place is great. The wife generally is gonna see that fingerprint that you and I might not see, but that fingerprint's there. So don't put yourself in that situation where the gloves. Not while you're doing the installs, when you get out, it's when you're dirty. So when I get that little 4x4, the little panel, I lay it back in, I put on some latex gloves, I put on some mono gloves, and you can get $10 for thousands of them. They're gonna notice. You can ask for their vacuum, you can ask for their vacuum. Most of the time they say, oh, I'll get it. So I don't mind, can I borrow yours? Or I had a little one, but that's really important. But these are great products. They work really well. I'm really proud of the box. Joe built it for what I wanted, and that was something we touched earlier. No one can afford $3,000 or $4,000. But what'd you say? You came up with the price, $1,500. That's worth $1,500. That's what we sell it for.
Well, that was what I.
Well, that's what he sells it for.
And he hadn't told me that, but that's what I figured.
That's about, it's a good value at $1,500. Guess what? If I hadn't had him build this box to my specs, we would never have a box that the consumer get. When the consumer get for $25,000, $3,000. Who's going to buy that? Rich people? I don't want rich people buying my box. I want everybody having a box. Because that's how you all are going to get it. Because your neighbors have them, your friends, and you can hear about it pretty soon. A year from now, you're going to start getting calls. Hey, I hear you rep the USI box. What's that? It's $1,500. Can you work? What's $1,500 divided by 120 months? Would be $1,440. Yeah, I can do 0% for. And there's other programs for 18 months. Yeah, I'll have my card. You call me, I'm going to find a dealer close to you. I'm not really interested in selling direct to customers. Joe does through his other company. I'd rather my dealers, get those. And like I said, if you got somebody close, that's what I do. So the commercial side of it's a little different. In some cases, we might use an Autobox. In some cases, we might not. We might use a static box. You heard me refer to static boxes before, which is basically a set microfarad that doesn't adjust. We have some split units that you can turn some on and turn off depending on the season. What we would do is say you've got a small manufacturing facility. You're going to get a copy. My guy in Louisiana just emailed me some bills. So you're going to say, can I get a copy of your bill? And I'm going to send that to my manufacturer. And he's going to give me a ballpark, what kind of business it is, etc. And he's going to come back and he's going to say it's going to cost X amount of dollars. And I'm going to call Dale. I'm going to say, Dale, your cost is going to be X amount of dollars. You're going to mark it up. So I'm just going to throw out some imaginary numbers. Say, for example, that you own a restaurant or a manufacturing facility, and I come back and tell you that it's going to cost about $30,000 and to save this amount of money, roughly. And you say, yeah, you know what? If $30,000 and I can get a 36-month ROI, I'd do it in a second. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and have an electrician come in and do an audit and confirm all this. Then we're going to figure out what exact products you need, and we're going to ship them in, you're going to get them installed. There's no reason to do an audit ahead of time, and come back to find out that I ain't going to write you a check for $30,000. You're crazy. I thought this would be about $5,000. And I'm just saying, that could be a couple $1,000s. There's different ways to do it, which I'll go over. But that's basically the gist. You're going to get that bill first. We're going to throw a ballpark out there. Joe's been doing this for a really, really, really long time. He gets really close. Then we firm it all up if that's something that they think they could go ahead and pull the trigger on, if you will. And if they say no, then you're done. Why would you? You're not going to try to resell them. Just, no, I don't want you to check for $30,000. You're crazy. I'm never ever going to do that. So you're done.
Well, ideally in commercial, if you can do a 3 to 5 year ROI, they'll accept it. If you can show a company that's spending $30,000 a month on electricity, and they're out there easily. And so if you can go in and say, hey, we're gonna save you 10%. Your system's gonna, your system may be a payback of 3 years, but after that, it's free money because this system's gonna keep on giving.
That's what I've always told people. Once it's paid for, it doesn't stop working. It keeps working. But look, if you did a 5-year ROI, just a hypothetical number, I did that a lot with residential. It's 20% return on your money. Anybody know where you can get 20% on your money right now that's legal?
Dale does.
Dale does, but
right here.
But you're just not in today's market. You're not going to get a 20% return on your money. And if you did it in 3-year ROI, you're getting 33% on your investment. There's no investment you can get on that. They're out there, but I'm just being logical. You know, where are you gonna get it? You're getting 1% in your savings account at your bank.
What's the life expectancy?
That one right there is warranty for 10, you know, life expectancy of 15. The static boxes last a little longer. I got moving parts in here is the difference. Static box is gonna last longer. The reason I don't go past 10 years on the warranty, which by the way, for an automated box is crazy. You're not gonna see that. You're gonna have a hard time finding an automated box. LEDs don't last past 10 years. So when that LED goes out, the customer thinks it's not working anymore. By the way, the boxes you're gonna get, it's gonna have the logo on it. You're not gonna have these lights. This is a demonstration box, so you all can see the capacitors turning on and off. Remember when we were doing that? These are the lights you're gonna have. These two tell you that the cable, the clamp's on correctly. That one tells you that your surge protection's working. And you know, if it fails, it hasn't happened yet, but if the box fails and power goes through and blows out your TV, we're gonna give you that $1,000. And we're looking at doing something else, but when that time comes, we'll have it. And I'm gonna replace the box. Dale's not gonna replace the box, I'm gonna replace the box. I don't, remember how, you know, Joe said, you know what, if you're unhappy, I'm just gonna give you your money back. I'm gonna make sure that our customers, one way or the other, and you're my customer, you're all my customers, are happy. If they got it in their head that it's not working, we're just gonna give the money back. We're gonna encourage you to give your money back. You know, if a light's not working on there, I don't just have it fixed. And you know, I ship out a new box, and I do that for a reason, because the internet will kill us. I've worked for companies that 80-year-old people go home and Google. They do. They look up your company. You know, when we sold just radiant barrier, you never said radiant barrier in a seminar. That was not what you said, because they're going to go home and find out they can buy radiant barrier. You can buy radiant barrier for 10 cents a foot. Radiant barrier, not this. Regular, cheap radiant barrier, you can buy for 10, 15 cents. At the time when we were doing it, they could find it for 25 or 30 cents. It's gone down a little bit. Now I got to show up and I got to resell it because I'm charging you $1.50. But we were guaranteeing a 5-year return on investment, professionally installed, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I could usually explain to you why it was worth the value, but some people just said no. Copper flex, you can't buy. You know, y'all the only ones around here that can have it. There's nobody that sells it. Joe just happens to have done business with this guy for, what did he say, 20 years, 25 years?
Yeah.
Forever.
Right.
Forever. And that's why he gets an amazing price on it.
How does it come in sheets of what size?
Comes in rolls, 1,000 square feet, either 4 foot wide or 24 inch wide.
Oh, okay.
For the copper fleck, I like the 1,000 feet. You know, when I was doing it, the less I carried up in the attic, the better off I was as far as I was concerned. Because every roll I did, I made a certain. I got paid 16 cents a square foot when I was doing it. So when I did 1,000 foot, I just made $160. That's how I got through that 160-degree attic.
Now, if you have a house that's trusses, that 2-foot trusses, you probably want the 2-foot wide stuff to roll in between the trusses.
It can be easier. What I use a long paint pole, or what I used to use, so I got a 4-foot wide roll, and I know I'm going to go in between the trusses. I'd cut them at 24 inches, and they'd be 4 foot by 2 foot. And I used a paint pole with a pin in it, and I just slid it around. I got to where I could maneuver that around. A lot of these guys, I'm going out to train Joe's son. They pre-cut it out there on the sidewalk and then bring it in. I said, why are you doing that? Why are you spending 5 hours on a 2-hour job? That's crazy. You take that rolled up there, you cut it to fit. You know, when you can go straight out, you're using that stick, you're just sliding it out there. You know, and I cut it, I can cut smaller pieces and maneuver them around. I don't use 24-inch wide ones. Joe likes them, that's great. Everybody's different. It's really going to be up, you know what, at the end of the day, it's going to be up to your installer.
Well, that's what I'm saying, you know, I was a builder before I was doing older stuff. And like trusses always have that center section, you know. Do they roll that up to those where they got
Yeah,
those?
you get it up to, and then you do it this way. You're going to have, a little bit of a gap around those. You're always going to have those. I had a customer that wanted me, my salesman wanted me to go over and staple them to the studs, and I just straight up told him no. I said, I told you not to go with this customer in the first place. You know when you're not, no matter what, this person's never going to be happy. When you have to make 5 trips to go see him, that's 4 too many. When your phone's ringing, you're never, and I said, Bob, you're never going to satisfy this lady. And no, I'm not going to staple them against the trusses. I've done many houses. How many complaints have you had about my installs? Well, never. There
How do
you go.
you get down close to the bottom of the eaves, you know, with that stick?
Yep, you're gonna get right down in there. You're gonna slide it right. This stuff is really flexible. You know, and it's strong. You know, and don't worry about putting that pinhole in it. The cheap stuff, they don't have cheap copper fleck, but with aluminum radiant barrier, they got cheap stuff. They've got it that doesn't have any of the mesh. And oh my, you will be a mad person. Jim, you will, because every time you touch it, it gets hooked. This stuff right here, if it hooks on a roofing nail, it's gonna stop. It's gonna stop in place. The cheap stuff rips, and it's frustrating. That's why anybody I've ever worked with that bought the cheap stuff, I'm not gonna install
You can't
it.
rip this stuff. You can't rip it.
And it's gonna wear out. It's gonna wear out.
We need to get a sheet of that and get a car and drive it right through and stop the car and go.
Stop the car. Well, you want it to be strong. You know, a lot of people ask, do you staple it anywhere? Usually, you don't need a contractor's license if you're not attaching it to the home. That's how most states are. And you're not attaching it. Insulation in general. In Texas, you don't need a contractor's license. But if you're
Yeah,
stapling it up
you
for
know
a
what?
gray area.
That'd be a good idea. You just came up with a good idea. Well, invent these. Put this inside. That way it'll keep the heat off your head.
Hey.
You need
That's like the winter time, it won't let your body heat escape.
Yeah.
That's right.
You know, you've already seen this technology and you didn't know it. What you put in your windshield, that's aluminum reflective technology that you buy at Walmart. You got the little hot coal bags that Walmart sells. Aluminum reflective technology. It's radiant barrier. They use it for firewalls in race cars. Yeah, if you've gone to any big city and you see the glass that reflects, that's reflective technology. We don't realize there's so much reflective technology until now you're going to be looking for it. Now every car you look at, you're going to see it in the window. It's going to be aluminum. The firemen, look at the firemen's fire jackets. Look what's saving when the fires go over there. The blankets, the space blankets that you can buy at any sporting goods store, any place that sells survival items has that little blanket that folds up about this big. Great here.
All you have to do is fold up some of this and carry it with you.
You know what I did? I had a cooler. I had an igloo cooler. I got me some adhesive spray, and I lined my cooler with radiant barrier, top, bottom, and sideways. It lasted, 2-3 times as long. My boss wrapped up a turkey in radiant barrier. He took it on an airplane and I think he was going to Alaska or something. And they brought the turkey and wrapped it up in radiant barrier, and it kept the heat in. See, aluminum foil. You'll see people put aluminum foil in their windows. They think they're stopping the heat. You wrap a roast in aluminum foil and it cooks. This blocks aluminum foil, magnifies it. So you'll see this in a window, but if you see somebody trying to put aluminum foil in a window, please tell them not to. They think they're doing something and they're just making it hotter. They're literally cooking themselves. This radiant barrier and the boxes are a great combination to sell. The barrier works. I knew it from the get-go. And that's why I kept installing. I will not sell anything that I haven't tried on my own home or in a test situation. Like solar, we know solar works, but I had some products. There's reflective paint out there. We painted our office manager's one of his houses, or part room in his house, to see if it really worked. Just because it tells me it works doesn't mean it works. I'm going to make sure it works. This is how I am. I'm going to look you in the eye and tell you I've got a product that works. It's going to work. Because it's going to come back and bite you. Every time. We had a customer in Blythe, California. And what we did is we sent out little, just like you did with the financials. Okay. So the guy, we did his house. I didn't. It was an installer before me. He gets invited again. And at lunch or at break, he says, Bob, his name was Bob, he says, can I talk to you for a minute? He showed pictures of his half-done attic. He says, I know it works because I'm saving money and part of it's comfort. I just want it done correctly. And he called me up, Jim, would you come out here right now? and we got to fix this, guys. In the morning, I redid his entire house. He was a building inspector. He gave me 60 referrals. 60, because we did them right. But he could have just as easily told 60 people that were no good. In a small town like that, he could have stood up in the middle and said, hey, these people are crooks. They only did half my attic. Boom. Guess what? The company just wasted thousands of dollars. You know what a seminar cost. You know what the mailers cost, so we fixed it. if you do it right at the beginning, you don't overpromise and you underdeliver, you're never gonna have a problem. You never guarantee anything. If you can't quantify it, don't try to quantify it.
Right.
That's what it really boils down to. If I can't show you, if you ever read Winning Friends and Influencing People, he talks about that. You know, don't quantify something that you can't. I worked for sold electricity. They said, well, if you talk to 20 people, you're going to sell 10, you're going to make this much money. I says, how? Prove that. How can you tell me that 20 people I talk to, 10 are going to buy? You don't know their credit rating. They all might want it, but I might not be able to get approved. You can't quantify that. You're setting me up for failure, because if I only sold 9 instead of 10, I feel like a failure, don't I? You told me I should sell 10 deals. I only sold 9 deals. I'm a failure. So if I tell you you should go out and close 10 deals, and you can only, and 8's good. You know, so you never tell somebody that they're going to sell X amount of deals. I'll tell you what I do. You know, Joe will tell you what he does. He closes 8 or 10 deals, week after week after week after week. But that doesn't mean if you only close 6 that you're a failure. That means you're doing really good. You're breaking 50%. Any school teacher would be happy. What we have here, we got the box, we got the motors, we got the meter. So when you put it together, you've got, I like the 3 motor. Joe's ordering one. He's getting himself a 2 motor. It's really up to him.
And I want to put this on the internet too. I want to show the customers.
Okay.
So if you want to start from that point.
Okay. So we're opening it up.
Tell who you are and where you're from, all that.
My name is Jim Bradley. I'm with US Autobox. We're going to do how to put together our demo kit to show a customer how it works. So what we're going to do is we're going to find our initial clamp. So this clamp right here is what in your home you're going to have one of these, and it's going to go on one of the power lines coming in. It's going to go right over it, and you're done. We have bigger ones, and it's stationary. That's where it reads the power. So this right here, in this case, if you will, is the hot line on your panel. So we're going to put it right on here. Clamp it shut. I'm going to plug in. I'm going to check the box because it's important that it's done on there correctly. Oops, that's the motor. I wish there was more color coded. That'd be a whole lot better, but they're not. Okay. See how we got? We have these 2. Yeah, we need to do that. This came in kind of late yesterday, so we're kind of eyeball. See how they're both green right here? These first 2. That means that the monitor is installed correctly. If it was wrong, not on there correctly, and it was reversed, it's going to change out. So we got it correctly. I was fighting with it yesterday. So that's the first thing we do is we get this one on. Then we're going to put this monitor, it's a wireless monitor. We're going to put it on the black line as well, because that's the hot line. So now, put on a motor. Oh, see how it turned red? Guess what? Our monitor's on incorrectly. Which is what I wanted it to do. So I'm going to put it on there like this. See how it's green now? Now we know it's reading correctly. So we'll plug in all the motors. Now what we did already was prior, with the transmitter and the receiver, we synced them, just like you would your phone and the Bluetooth. So right now it's using the 4.10 kilowatts like it was. We'll get that on camera. So we know that right now we have 4 capacitors on. This is how we do the test. This is what we show you. At your home, your load changes all the time. We talked about this earlier. Your washing machine goes on, your air conditioner cycles on. That's what makes ours different. So we lost the capacitor because it didn't need that much capacity. I put that one back in, it comes back on. I turned one off, it's thinking, we're down to 2. Take this one off and the 2 little ones are on. It's decided how much capacitance we need to get as perfect as we can. It looks like it just has 1 capacitor on. These are your surge. Then we know our surge protection's on, we know that the clamp's lined up correctly. And it's really as simple as that. And that's how you do your test, that's how you set it up. When you're done, turn off your power strip. We have no power, and you can play with it too, by the way. So if you want to turn off the box, I like to let it set for a minute, because it does take a little bit for it to think. It is a computer, it's processing. We have that one up there like so. All those capacitors. Let's take the box out of the equation. And it went back up. We're using higher wattage now. We're using more kilowatts. We're not saving anything. We're not recycling anything. So that's it. That's the demo box as it goes.
We need to get that video with you and him.
That's exactly what I was thinking, introduce a new dealer.
I wish there was more color coded, that'd be a whole lot better, but they're not. Okay. See how we have these two, yeah, we need to do that. This came in kind of late yesterday, so we're kind of eyeballs. See how they're both green right here, these first two? That means that the monitor is installed correctly. If it was wrong, and not on there correctly, and it was reversed, it's going to change out. So we got it correctly. I was fighting with it yesterday. So that's the first thing we do is we get this one on. Then we're going to put this monitor, it's a wireless monitor. We're going to put it on the black line as well, because that's the hot line. Now, put on a motor. Oh, see how it turned red? Guess what? Our monitor's on incorrectly. Which is what I wanted it to do. So I'm going to put it on there like this. See how it's green now? Now we know it's reading correctly. So we'll plug in all the motors. Now what we did already was prior, with the transmitter and the receiver, we synced them, just like you would your phone and the Bluetooth. So right now it's using the 4.10 kilowatts like it was. We'll get that on camera. So we know that right now we have 4 capacitors on. This is how we do the test. This is what we show you. At your home, your load changes all the time. We talked about this earlier. Your washing machine goes on, your air conditioner cycles on. That's what makes ours different. So we lost the capacitor because it didn't need that much capacity. Put that one back in, it comes back on. I turn the one off, it's thinking. We're down to 2. Take this one off and the 2 little ones are on. It's decided how much capacitance we need to get as perfect as we can. It looks like it just has 1 capacitor on. These are your surge. Then we know our surge protection's on, we know that the clamp's lined up correctly. And it's really as simple as that. That's how you do your test, that's how you set it up. When you're done, turn off your power strip. We have no power, and you can play with it too, by the way. So if you want to turn off the box, I like to let it set for a minute, because it does take a little bit for it to think. It is a computer that's processing. You have that one up there like so. All those capacitors. Let's take the box out of the equation. And it went back up. We're using higher wattage now. We're using more kilowatts. We're not saving anything. We're not recycling anything. So that's it. That's the demo box as it goes. So I'm Jim Bradley, I'm president of US Autobox Energy Solutions. I want to introduce y'all to Dale Walker. He's our new Tennessee representative. He's got most of Tennessee and part of Kentucky. If you have any questions or comments and you want to purchase a box or find out how to reduce your energy bill or make your house more efficient, call Dale.
Thanks. We look forward to representing your product here in Tennessee and saving all the great Tennesseans money on their electric bill and helping them to condition their electric that comes into their home or their business.
Fantastic, glad to have you on.
Okay.
Take the batteries out.
Okay.
You can leave it on too, it'll last a while, but you're gonna be frustrated, like I was
Yeah.
yesterday.
We sell wholesale, retail.
So what I did is I laid that on top yesterday, because the foam's gonna,
Okay, protect it.
is gonna protect it.
Okay.
Take these off.
I'll let you
So that clip goes on the black.
Always the black.
You're clipping that on the black wire. Okay.
This one, it doesn't matter
Okay.
how you put it on.
And that just goes in there?
Just put it around. So normally, you know, there's
It's not
big
spliced in
magnets.
that wire, is it? It's just reading current?
Yeah.
Read the current.
Yeah, okay. All right.
But it won't do it. If you try to do it over this, you're gonna get a mixed.
Yeah, mixed bag, yeah.
So this doesn't matter how you put it on. The little one, you're gonna check once you turn everything on, make sure that you got 4 greens.
All right, we'll play with this, Jim.
Yeah, you know what? Take it apart, put it back together, and play
Yeah.
with it. That's how you're gonna get really comfortable with it. Forever since I've used a demo box myself.
It automatically runs on solar, all the
Just gotta
lights.
put that down in there.
Okay.
I think what I did was,
I'll come up with something else to put that in and that in probably.
but it's gonna hold on to your batteries.
I'll hold on to them.
And it's gonna close shut. That's really what matters.
Good deal.